Pace, what up, though? Tapping in, tapping in. Hey, y'all tap that like button. What's up, Black Hawk, Dana Berry, Dunn in the building. Doug, Twinkle Toe, Dog Chief, Michelle, Auntie Dunn. Yeah, what up, though? Pop right. Man, we here for a good time, not a long time. You did. We gonna get into some in-zone business, man. Um, and we're gonna raise some awareness of the importance of everybody getting their ass to class. You understand me? Yeah. Get your ass to class. Um, I don't think y'all gonna want to miss this one. This bitch gonna be like 4 hours, so we probably need to start like in the afternoon. Gang shit. Like I don't think this was gonna be an early bird. Well, the Texans do play Sunday. Yeah, I think this gonna have to be like a early. This probably gonna be like an early build. I don't think we'll be able to make it to at night because this gonna probably be 4 hours. Like I'm trimming. I'm trying to trim the fat off. Michelle said 4 hours. Nah, square business, Michelle, because I mean, we talking about the destructing the myth of the transatlantic slave trade. That's you can't just go in there and just, you know what I'm saying? This like I don't want to ever have to do a transatlantic slave trade lecture again. So everything that I know, everything I've been holding back, you know what I'm saying, just in case of a big debate or a opportunity to be on the Lord platform, or you know what I'm saying, if I want to talk to certain, these professors or these niggas in academia, it's some things that I put in the vault. You know what I'm saying? I hold back, or I've been saving this till it was time to rock out. But I don't, like I say, man, I ain't even got 3 years left. I got two and some change because we're in the middle of January. So I got 2 years and some change left. You feel me? So right now, I just need to be focused on getting the information. Now, I don't never want to have to do another transatlantic slave trade joint. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go all in on this one type shit. So yeah, I'm just gonna go all in on this one, and maybe we'll tour and put it in the colleges and shit like that. But everything you need to know is here, and I guarantee you'll never heard it. It's a lot of people say they destroyed the transatlantic slave trade and all of that, and most of them only went after historical facts, not understanding that everyone in the transatlantic slave trade conversation or genre do not all study the same things. It's so many different components and pieces. It's an amalgamation of things that create this paradigm. And so in order to really dissect it, for one, you would have to know that. And I don't think people know that because they only go after the historical parts. They'll talk about the numbers, but they're not actually talking about the numbers because you don't never hear them. Some people, that's all they do is the numbers. You feel me? Like, and these scholars going all the way back 16, 1700. You feel me? Like, and I mentioned some names, niggas who say they killed the transatlantic slave trade conversation, they wouldn't even know the names. Some of the shit I'm talking about, they wouldn't even know. So this is why I'm saying, yeah, this is the greatest show on turf. What a time to be alive. And shit, man, ain't no better place to get it from than the legendary Big Chief Topcat, the man who changed the paradigm of consciousness forever. And he goes by the title of the Godfather of American Indian Studies.
Dress it up and make it real fun.
What's up? Dress it up and make it. Huh? Do what? Let go. Dress it up and make it real fun.
Dress up and style from. Spend a day to get my mind blown. Dress it up and go to Nassau. 200 miles on the dash. Gotta run a pound up the gas. Put your legs in the Grand Rapids. We the one that kept cool without the niggas till you ain't started. Shoot a nigga like Phil, man, rolling neck, go to the map. We ballin' like the Marsh Packers. All these cops shoot a nigga tragic. Only one to live in lavish. Like I'm playing for the Mavericks. I done want for the business, might have made me fuck her even though she average. Dirty money in the cook. The 45 by my good. When young nigga in the cook. Take you out for some joints. Counter spot, no rush. I'm on a one-way flush. Loud patch, smelling mud. These fucking police can't touch me. Fucking police can't touch me. Fucking nigga can't touch me. I try to brush you with the VBS. I try to run like I was shit. Try to run like I was shit. Let me know I go to the offset. Fuck a cougar like she hot. She hit the dirty spray. Dirty soul and stuff from. Spill a day and get my mind blown. Dress it up and go to Nassau. 200 miles on the dash. Gotta rub a pound up the gas. Put your names in the Grand Rapids. We're the one that kept it cool without the nigga till you niggas start acting. Show a nigga like Phil, man, the room and nigga gon' let him have it. We ballin' like the Marsh Packers. All these cops shoot a nigga tragic. Only one to live in lavish. Like I'm playing for the Mavericks. I done want for the business, might have made me from her even though she average. Fuck on the basic bitch. We gon' wake up and smoke up some blunt and fuck. She gon' keep it so real with a nigga that I'ma come back and always gon' fuck with her. In the curve and the spray like a martyr bus. I was working and serving in Nautica. I get high till I'm higher than Mercury. Fuck around, teach you that recipe. Fuck around, you gon' be out of here. Make it say hard like a nigga with groovin'. Soon as that work hit the city, we moving. Pumped up in honest and shoot us and moving. Turned up in honest and shoot us and moving. Made it to a side of cover just in case a nigga ever gotta use it. Get a plane to go to pull it up, nigga. There's so much stuff for me. Spill a day to get my mind blown. Dress it up and go to Nassau. 200 miles on the dash. Gotta rub a pound up the gas. Put your names in the Grand Rapids. We the one that kept it cool without the nigga till you niggas start acting. Show a nigga like Phil, man, the room and nigga gon' let him have it. We ballin' like the Marsh Packers. All these cops shoot a nigga tragic. Only one to live in lavish. Like I'm playing for the Mavericks. I done want for the business, might have made me fuck her even though she average. But the niggas can't touch me. I try to break you in the VBS. I try to feel like you wanna shit. Try to feel like you wanna shit. Fuck a cougar like she hot it, man. Future hit this dirty spray, legendary. Dirty soul and style from. Spill a day to get my mind blown. Dress it up and go to Nassau. 200 miles on the dash. Gotta rub a pound up the gas. Put your names in the Grand Rapids. We the one that kept it cool without the nigga till you niggas start acting. Shoot a nigga like Phil, man, the room and nigga gon' let him have it. We ballin' like the Marsh Packers. All these cops shoot a nigga tragic. Only one to live in lavish. Like I'm playing for the Mavericks. I done want for the business, might have made me fuck her even though she average.
Is it best? No lie.
What's up, BCU? How you feel? Tell me how you feel. What we doing, twin? I want a Zydeco Diva. Hey, we finna turn up. What I got for y'all before we turn up, though? We can go the Indian way. Why not? Why not? How y'all feeling, man? Get some flames in the building, man. Let me know where y'all at, man. End zones all around the world. Let me know where y'all at, man. Drop it in the chat where you coming from. Let it rock. Drop it in the goddamn, yeah. Drop them flames and drop where you claim.
I like that
Drop the
Honduran
flames
cigar,
and
the
drop
spirit
what you
rise.
claim.
Smoke curling like ancestors whispering in the skies. Dr. Sebi in my left ear saying heal from inside. This ain't no new land, we the ones that try to deny. Before Columbus ever dreamed of ship to steer, we was building mountains, doing rituals with no fear. From Yucatan to Galveston, New Orleans near. That's the triangle of soul, but the map been clear. Second lines ain't parades, that's ancestral rights. Tambourines and feathers under full moonlight. We ain't immigrants now, we the original mind. Built pyramids and bone flutes before Rome took flight. Top cat said it loud, stop begging for permission. Our culture ain't missing, it's just deep in tradition. We ain't African cause they told us we remember the mission. The land speaks Creole, soul food and intuition, yo. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. And the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and the tears. Granny sat me down, roll something slow. Said when you puff, give thanks, let the cosmos know. I inhale the jungle, exhale the flow. Spitting stories that the textbook still scared to show. Cigar lit like a torch from ancient rites. Aromas like prayers to the Orishas at night. New Orleans ain't a tourist tale, it's black divine. Where the jazz horns spend time and the spirits align. Forget Columbus, we was dancing in stars. Trading turquoise, dripping culture in bars. Drums talking codes, spirits moving cars. Look close, the past ain't gone, it's just behind these stars. From Congo Square to Trammy porches, we built this land, no need for endorsements. The Mardi Gras beads ain't just for decor. That's soul armor, homie, we was gods before war. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. In the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and the tear, through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. In the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and the tears. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and the tears. I like that Honduran cigar.
Alright, how y'all feel, man? We ain't here for a good time, not a long time. You dig? So where my shit is? I just had it. All right. My bad, man. Hey man, y'all get ready. I think next month we're gonna drop the kids book, and this is gonna be like a series. We even gonna turn it into a cartoon. I think this the one right here. You know what I'm saying? So we want to educate, you know what I'm saying, the parents so they can educate the children. But we also want the children to have something to call their own as well, you know, and that's what BCU here for. Man, shout out to BCU new, man. Knocked off a BCU piece and chain, man. That was his Christmas gift to himself. He got the BCU piece on his neck, man, ripping, big Indian stepping. I wish I had that bitch on here. I'm gonna make a short. I'm gonna put it on the short. Yeah, man, cause we gotta put it in their face. You did? That when you know a nigga really living this shit. You hear me? That's when you know a nigga really on some big Indian time, really on some BCU time. Nigga get a piece of change made. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's how we coming. All right. So boom, they said Top Cat, they got Egyptian artifacts in South Carolina. Well, I say the Carolinas down through Tennessee, what is Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, of course, Arkansas, um, you know, a lot of those nations there are going to have encounters because when the people that came in, see, when you look in the five tribes, the five tribes stores that they all migrate. They have migrational stores. So I think it's important. I think it's important that we point that out. But they have migration stores, and they actually came there and conquered. You know what I'm saying? Because they was hustling. So I'm gonna use the word conquer. Now they may have made allegiances, but they did come there and fight battles against the people that were there already, and those people were of different Mayan stocks, or what they would call Mayans. So far as the Egyptian, if we put the writing system of them side by side with the hieroglyphics in Egypt, it'll be the same thing. And so we go back to Ptolemy in Egypt, and we get that from Ptolemy records. We also see in Ptolemy records maps with places with the same names that are in the Americas. So I think under America and around America, what they're called rural areas. It's still a lot of things you got to understand. They had to clean up, the pyramids, and they hiding under a lot of what they're called rural areas. Now the important ones with the minerals under them, well, those became national parks and reservation areas where the nations own the reservations aren't receiving any money. And the example I give is the one I've been giving, like about going down to the Grand Canyon. And when you pull in there, fam, the people that live there, man, when you're driving through, bro, you can see they little tent set up out there, man. And it's bad. They don't have no cattle because they don't have any grass. So it's impossible. Now we're in America, bro, and you go to California and you got farming in certain parts, and you will ask, like, even when you're going west of Texas and you're going all the way into those regions, New Mexico, Arizona, and you say, what happened to the goddamn grass? Because when you're talking about South Plains Indians and things like this here, yeah, they're coming out of areas desert lands and things of this nature. But the military, the U.S. military, really came and locked down certain areas in these specific places. You know, military bases and shit. And that's what the Grand Canyon is. It's not a reservation. They're hiding it as a reservation, but it's really, I mean, the birds out there, bro. You'll see these birds. I got a video. I'm talking to this bird. Man, that nigga came and dropped down right in front of me. It's like this little turnaround you got to go through to get there. The homie dropped down right there in front of me and was like, he ain't moving out the street. Like, I'm going to have to run over. So, but the birds are huge there. But, yeah, I just look at things like that, man, and you know, things with the mineral resources or underground or this. You gotta understand the Mayans picked the Yucatan for a reason. And so when you talking about star alignments and things like this here, which they call holy days or holidays, or you know, whether it be the equinox, you know what I'm saying, the solstice, different things of this nature, right? They chose that area because they're close to the equator and the skies are the more clearest in those areas. The skies are clearer. That's why they get about 348 days of sunlight. And if it rains, it only rains for probably like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You feel me? And then it's back to normal. So it might cut up, but you're going to have more good days than bad days there. And the weather is going to be consistent. So the agriculture that they tell us came from there was actually taken there, right? As we see, y'all saw in the first class, if y'all took the class, where they spoke about, you know, the reeds. You know what I'm saying? Going to the place of reeds, where corn was first cultivated. And that led us to Georgia. Now, central Mississippi, you know, have a good argument, but it would be the same people. But if we're going back to what the sources are saying and the reasons why these people chose these certain places, whether it be Nyawaya mounds, whether it be Okmulgee, and you know what I'm saying, or whether it be in Cartersville, in Etowah, you dig? So, but this is what they're saying, the place of reading where corn was first developed. It wouldn't be hard to imagine that when you go to Etowah Mounds. Out of all of the places they excavated, even through the Hope Well, going through the Midwest, Ohio, you know what I'm saying? Their complexes, everything is lined up, everything is sitting on the same line. So you can stand on top of a mound and see straight down to the other mounds and pyramids and things of that nature. Like, that's how key that shit was. But you're gonna go from bounce down from Etowah up to, you got the Emerald Mounds in Mississippi, and then you have Monk's Mounds. You feel me? And you're gonna follow the corn. So yes, there was prejudice that I wouldn't say it was Egyptian, because that'll depend on the writer. You know what I mean? And Egypt is not an ancient term. You know what I mean? Kemet is some shit that they super made up, the land of black. And ain't nobody black on there. Egypt ain't no black ass niggas. You know, today I saw a lady on TikTok. I don't know where she got this map from, but the map said Egypt was in Georgia. I said, ain't this about a bitch? Nigga, Greece was in New York. I said, what the fuck? She like, so y'all don't know that this is that and that. And I looked in there and it was like 200 and some people in there. And I said, boy, ain't no motherfucking way. I be seeing you BCU niggas over there laying up under that shit. And I be like, boy, I don't know. I don't know, fam. But ain't no way. Look at her laughing. You saw that shit, you know what I'm talking about? What's up, mother dragon? Nah, we ain't doing genealogy right now, but we gonna start. The homes that say we need to start gathering money so we can fund some of our own institutions. We need to start pushing our own science to test these sites ourselves. Well, actually, at that amount, particularly, you can pay $200 and go back there and excavate. So yeah, you can go back there with the little mines, you know what I'm saying, them little joints. You try to find something under the ground and all that shit, sonar systems or whatever the fuck they call it. You did. You can actually do that there at that place, and that place is they found the most. Yeah, that's where they found the most. The most shit at down there. You did. So it's a lot of gold down there. Remember the Cherokee tried to, push their way up in there. Then you get the 1829 Georgia gold rush, right? Then the next year you get 1830 Indian removal. I ain't moving you because I don't like you. I'm moving you because y'all got that gold down here. So like it's even a video on YouTube. You can watch them white boys, they walk through there. So like they got a serpent mound in Ohio. Well, they got a serpent mound in Georgia and Florida. The largest serpent mound effigy is coming out of Alabama, Georgia, and it goes all the way into Florida. It's shaped like a serpent going all the way into Florida. Yeah, so yeah, they that's how they was pushing their line. Kahi, what up though? That's how they pushing their line over there. Man, we gonna bounce over here, man. My phone finna die, man. Shout out to everybody pulling up over here though. What's up, Janelle? Little Cherokee. Shout out to Little Cherokee, man. South Carolina. Hey, we gonna be in Oklahoma May 14th through the 16th. May 14th through the 16th. So, man, we really need to start organizing for that right there. That's gonna be our biggest ones. I think after we do that, after we knock out Oklahoma, they're gonna be wanting us in Mississippi. They're gonna be wanting us down in Alabama, Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you how large of a magnitude it's gonna be on. So, I just need to make sure y'all gonna be ready. You did. We trying to pull up in Winnebago's. Somebody said it's an Indian word, Chief. I know it is. We trying to pull up in Winnebago's, man. With showers and pots and pans. Yeah, that type of shit, man. So, yeah, we trying to push up. But I do want to bring a lot of people out there, man. They're already on the culture. They stomping and line dancing and shit. That nigga tell me I'm trying to knock off Big 99 severe. Hit this nigga go with that bullshit. What Funky Town is? She know how to deal with him. Yeah, what Funky Town? She the only one that can deal with him. He don't want to fuck with Funky Town. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call up here. Mother Dragon say needs you in Bama. Yeah, they I'm pretty sure it's gonna spread. And I think it's gonna, we're gonna be in the Carolina, like Atlanta, like a lot of these areas, Tennessee, you feel me? Virginia, I don't know, nigga. Y'all just let them white folks have Virginia. Y'all just let them white folks and them goddamn foreigners have Virginia. That motherfucker like New York City. Nah, square business. It's say, and the more you go up north, the more tribal you get. And we wonder why them niggas so tribal, right? Then we find out with the Lumbee, you know what I'm saying? And the Eastern Band Cherokee, full of YT people. Now we find out why they being so territorial, because like they said, they don't want to have to split the bag. But you did. We trying to I want to pull coaches from everywhere, man. But far as the entertaining and all of that, you did. If we come in somebody's house, man, we should be bearing gifts. You did. That's the Indian way. If we come in your house, we should be bearing gifts. That's like we throw a get together, nigga, and you coming over there, you know we getting together, you know we finna cook, barbecue, all this type of shit. Nigga, at least bring some beer. If your ass smoke and all that drink and know you drink like a fish, stop by the liquor store, get some ice and all that type of shit, nigga. Don't just show up to the motherfucker, nigga. Somebody let me hit the blunt and yo motherfucking ass sitting on the cooler like that nigga on Means to Society. Yeah, nah, nigga, fuck that shit. So when we come down there, we do want to bring down the coach. We want to bring down line dancers like the homie Tania that was in here earlier, man, out of South Carolina, man. Little pretty ass Cherokee Indian, straight Cherokee, you just tell. That why I nicknamed the Cherokee. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we want to bring out people from different cultures because I think that's the part that's really gonna get their attention and wake them up, because it's a gap there from the elders and the youth. You did. And so a lot of things they into, they grew up in the culture and the customs, but they still, you know what I'm saying, living life in survival mode. You gotta, I mean, come on, man. They go from being, you know, one of the richest areas, most educated, and all of these things were taken from them. You know what I'm saying? Including their land, their mineral rights, you did, their human rights, all that type of shit. You feel me? In fear of what they can become, you know what I'm saying, in their proper self. So, man, you know, everything's just in alignment right now. You look at just the world. A lot of people are going out. It's a beginning of, it's a new beginning. If we look at football, you got coaches like Mike Tomlinson gone, Harbaugh and them, you know what I'm saying, gone. These niggas been doing this shit 20 years, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like, your ass gonna be replaced. And it's like, yeah, you've been here, you experienced, but it's a new day. And that's not just with that, that's with people who ushered in consciousness at a certain time. Their window has closed. It's a new day. You feel me? So I think we really, really need to pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? He said, what's the agenda on Tulsa? Well, we ain't just gonna be in Tulsa, so that's why we're gonna be down there for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? I might give me a hotel too, just in case I do some fucking. Cause I don't know if I can fuck in the Winnebago. I don't know if they carry California King bed. I think they got like a queen bed or something back there. I'm 240 pounds, goddamn it. I don't think I want to rock and roll in the back and on no motherfucking full size mattress. I'm just saying, nigga, you could probably fuck on the app mattress, nigga, but nigga, the talents and the superpowers, nigga, that the Lord, the Creator, has blessed me with, you know, I don't think there's enough room, you know, shit. I bet, nah, man, go on with that bullshit. We're not doing that today, goddamn it. Matter of fact, we're gonna get to the goddamn bill. We going to Mississippi, man. Hey, at the top, this is what we gonna do, fam. Y'all need to get y'all ass to class. This is my thing, right? We're gonna have to do it every 3 weeks, but we're gonna have to hurry up. So all these y'all I'm doing is fucking classes. I ain't doing the other shit. I was just on TikTok, and then, you know, nigga threw out a disclaimer. You know, they finna bring me up. Nigga was like, we don't need nobody to come in here and teach. We don't need nobody to come. You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole little disclaimer. We don't need nobody to come teach these people this and that. And I'm thinking in my head, nigga, I don't teach for free. The fuck? So I don't even know why you would assume that, nigga, that's what I'm finna come up here to do. Man, I don't know, bro. I be trying to make it work. You did. But that caught me. I'm like, huh? The fuck? Like, nigga, I'm not a TikTok teacher, not calling nobody else one, but I'm just saying, like, nigga, Nigga, when I teach, nigga, I get paid to do what the fuck I do, nigga. So I don't know what he thought was going to happen, or my intentions, but my intentions was not to teach, nigga. If they weren't finna make it rain on me. So I don't, understanding is what I get in why I fit in, you know what I'm saying? But nigga, that is not me. Nigga, I'm Big Chief. I'm on it's levels to this shit. I just say that, nigga, I'm on a whole different level. What would ever make you think that I'm finna come up here and try to take the panel by teaching and showing all these sources? And if I was gonna do that, I'd come do that shit over here. But I'm not even hop on the TikTok live, nigga. I'm not a free teacher. So just for the brother, I just didn't see where they came from. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Get your ass to class, man. We banging on the they said I ain't been to Tulsa in 17 years, experienced racism for the first time ever. Couldn't do nothing because I was out of my jurisdiction. Well, that's why we want to go down there 500 deep. You did? They said they got king size blower beds, man. How would you know? No, fuck that. How would you know? You been back there rocking the boat like it is, nigga. Come on, man. What's up with it, Dane? Hey, man, I gotta get y'all fade awards out, bro. One box ain't even open. Like, I just told Talik, yeah, man, y'all need to come get this shit. So, man, we gotta get them fade joints out. You did? Oh, watch this here though. So look, yeah, the homie say, what's the agenda? Well, basically, what they want to do, they like, so it's gonna be a setup to it's gonna be some events already taking place in Oklahoma, but at this time is when everybody or they get the most people out. You know what I'm saying? Besides, say like the rodeo, bowling rodeos, and all of that. Like this here is something different and it's historic. So I damn near want to create a motherfucking not 506. Yeah, but I guess you can't say that. You know what I'm saying? The 501c3, 501c4, you know what I'm saying? A nonprofit, you feel me? Because I'm looking, and this is something that Voodoo Dog had, put in my head at Fade. She like, hey man, like we can take this shit on the road, like, and go help people with it. Like they'll be interested. Muskogee and Okmulgee, yeah, they're part of it. Muskogee, Okmulgee, shit, Tulsa, Bowley, Okemah, it's another one that I'm missing too. But I gotta look back at the email. So basically what they want to do is, they not internet Indians. You did, and they know that they Indians. Like some of them, most of them, even like my family, like my uncle's wife, her and her sister had the same dad. Now, on her sister's side, they children and all of that are a part of it. So they get the benefits and all of that. You know what I'm saying? They big landowners down there. But their thing is they're trying to recruit people. But, the people that they're looking up to, man, don't really have their best interest. We ain't got to say that. You know what I'm saying? But they want us to come down there and bring understanding. And yeah, I could come out there and come talk my ass out, do the best presentation ever done. But what's gonna really solidify it is if I got 500 Indians from all across America that's saying the same story that they grew up hearing, the same story that they have, and show them how y'all not in this fight alone, nigga. Like what happened to y'all happened to us too. You feel me? And I think that's what's really gonna catch them. And then they looking at us and the culture that we built. You know what I'm saying? When you look at us, we some niggas you'll want to be around. We fly. Our women beautiful, bad. You know what I'm saying? They gonna go put that shit on. They line dancing all of the coaches, and I'm gonna say, damn nigga, you dancing like that. You from goddamn Muskogee, nigga, but this person right here from goddamn Atlanta. This person from Memphis, Tennessee. Nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, we popping, and this person out of Durham, North Carolina. Like, we all got the same story. And so I think it's going to turn up to a point, and we probably do need a nonprofit for it, because Alabama, Mississippi need it. Like, so goddamn, we need to be in the low country in South Carolina and up top. You did 803. You did. We need to be up that way too. So it's like it's so many places that need it. But it's an invisible line when you cross up and start going up into the northeast. Really, you know, they're very tribal, because you have people that look like us, but the leaders of those joints don't look like us in most cases. Or even if they do look like us, nigga, they don't act like us. If we ain't no court carrying member, or nigga, we ain't falling under no what would they call it? They little network. Because see, if you're a member of the tribe, you can't get on the internet and say what you want to say. Not in representation. The nigga, you know how a nigga call your church on you? I'm finna call your pastor. No, gang shit. You can call they people. You can get in touch with their nation, and nigga, they'll get on your ass for misrepresenting them, because you can hurt their funding. And nigga, you done got my stamps took. They gonna put you out the set, bitch ass nigga. You think they gonna choose you over that check they getting? Hell no. Hell no. So them niggas up there regulated. My game is this. Never will a motherfucker that don't look like us rule over us. There will never come a day. We out. So that's why I say it's a fine motherfucking line, nigga. We got a draw in the sand right there. We not doing mixed ethnogenesis communities, multiple racial community. We don't know racism and prejudice shit, but nigga, we want something for us, by us, nigga. And ain't nobody finna tell us a motherfucking thing, nigga. Cause we gonna rock out. How you want to do it? Ain't no big Indian in us, period, nigga. You card carrying ass niggas go up there. I guarantee you, nigga, we get the right people and we put together a play, nigga. We'll have more money than them niggas getting, because they been getting free money this long shit. Gang shit. They can't build. We got the skills, the talents, the minds. We got the motherfucking manpower. You feel me? We can build out, like the homie say, we build our own institutions and shit like that. For as anthropologists, for as building up databases and shit like that. Like, everybody want to be a teacher, rush to the mic and shit, and be a motherfucking superstar, debater, and all this type of shit. Gang, that shit is fading out. Don't you see all the teachers that, you know what I'm saying, you can say maybe started or ushered in or lit the fire? Can't you see them niggas not here no more, or them niggas not even relevant in the conversation no more? It's a new day. Something got to change. This nigga talking about he ethno foundation. Man, now, don't listen. That nigga been by the liquor store. He must be off tomorrow. Don't listen to that nigga, man. Don't listen to that South Dallas ass nigga, man. That nigga done been the goddamn me by the liquor store. He off for that nigga off to the week to Monday. Don't listen to that nigga. See, he out the doghouse. That nigga ain't on the couch no more. He back in the bed with baby. They fucking, and nigga say he out the doghouse. That nigga, he had that much energy last live. Yeah, he had been fucking up. Found that other cell phone on his motherfucking ass. Yeah, she went to go washing. Found that cell phone. He talking about it's a work phone. Mm-hmm. She said, well, give me the number. He said, I can't do that. It's classified documents. You trying to get me fired. You shouldn't even touch that motherfucker. Yeah, this is new technology. You touch it. See, only my handprint on my. I had to get fingerprinted for this bitch. Any other fingerprints on it, I lose my job. You know what I'm saying? You got me in the fuck. I gotta go fix this with these folks now. Cause you didn't put your hand on shit that don't belong to you. Yeah, that nigga just got off the couch. Yeah, he back in the bed fucking and shit. He the son of his whole chick. And the nigga a doctor. The nigga goddamn brain surgeon. Yeah, he the son of the whole chick. He done went Kobe Bean Bryant. He done got caught, and so the nigga went to tricking. Yeah, the nigga went to tricking. She come in the house, that nigga and that bitch screwing in light bulb. What the fuck you got allowed in there? Well, you remember that light bulb you told me need to be fixed? I just ran by Home Depot. I just figured we might well go ahead on to get. I went on and got the new LED 2025 editions. Yeah, she said, yeah, I asked you that shit 3 months ago, nigga. I've been busy though. You know what I'm saying? And shit. New knobs on the door. Yeah, all type of shit. Nigga finding and rake the leaves and shit. What happened to Julio? Well, Ice, after the whole Ice situation, I just been thinking, I just get out of here because I remember you told me, yeah, that was 3 months ago, nigga. That was in October. He back fucking now. Nigga want to come in here fucking with us. Nigga out the doghouse and shit. Carrie, you see your boy? He back in the bed fucking. Nigga was on the couch tossing and turning and shit. Yeah, nigga done turned over a new leaf. Oh, excited ass nigga. South Dallas ass nigga. Rudest chicken eating ass nigga. That's my nigga. All right, man, we gonna get to it, man. Man, I had found this, man. We gonna get into some what that shit called? We're gonna get into some Mississippi history, you dig? Let's bounce out in some Mississippi history, man. Y'all ready to rock? See, this is BCU nigga right here. This big sick. This probably was his first lecture, I think.
All right, bet him up. Boss lady, you say you can hear? All right, I'm going full screen.
See, this is what I'm saying. Any nigga come up under me, I remember the nigga was hitting me like, they had Dane was playing the video. I think Shane was on there. He was like, man, this is the spit. And they like, yeah, she BCU. That she come up under the top cat. Listen, any nigga that come up under me and they just studied in the back with me because niggas know how I pop it, nigga. We finna go in the back. And I'm gonna stack it on you. Yeah, we gonna get the op, how we gonna run the op, nigga, but I'm gonna stack it on you. Because I'm not finna help you find none of the answers. Any nigga that just studied with me and chat, nigga, not finna help you find answers. I'm finna step in the back, nigga. I'm gonna go get my shit together, nigga. I'm gonna have your shit too, nigga. Little do you know. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say, which way we doing it? I'm gonna give you 3 ways. We can go this way, we can go that way, or we can run right through that motherfucking ass. Me personally, I don't feel like walking around. I don't want to goddamn me hop a wall or no shit like that, nigga. I'd rather put a charge on this bitch, blow right through it, nigga, and take the fight to him. That's my game. I'm gonna stack it on you. Can you fight like that? All right, I'll be back. And shit, when I get back, them niggas surprise me every time. Cause the way I wanted to go, goddamn, that's how we gonna run out. Them niggas ready. Okay then, shit, wheels up, nigga, jock the fuck up. Get your guns up in the fight, nigga. Mine, yeah, nigga, front side, yeah. And that work.
And from here on out, I'm going.
I see any one of them soldiers out there because I know them niggas good. I'm gonna sit back, cross my feet. You dig? And watch this.
Cash out, goddammit. Let's go. Mississippi Part 2. Wars and rumors of wars. Forgive me, give me 10 seconds. I'm coming in hot. So at the start of the 1700s, where we ended up Part 1, the Spanish era was ending and the era of France was rapidly gaining momentum, right?
Real dropping plane.
This is what they're calling, hopefully you can see my mouse because I'm going to be using that a lot. This is what they're calling
Hey, no class Friday. Class is Sunday. Class Sunday, and we gonna do it early too, cause it's 4 hours. It's destructing the myth of the transatlantic slave trade. So it's 4 hours right now. You know, I'm trying to trim some fat off that motherfucker so I can watch the Houston game. I don't know why these bitches got us playing early. We should be the late night main attraction. You understand me? Yeah, you see how we ran over them niggas there last night and took Aaron Rodgers out. What I'm saying, it's out with the old, in with the new, fam. You feel me? We ran through them real H-time shit, nigga, swarm shit, nigga. So let's bounce side this Mississippi history. Why? Cause I told niggas find yourself in the story, and when you find it, okay, that's your land, nigga. You gonna protect it. You feel me? I ain't gotta teach Mississippi history, nigga. I got hitters. Let's walk.
Louisiana. Basically, the French was able to claim the majority of the territory, but now because the Spanish lost their respect on the ocean, now you have all the English coming over here, and you have the Spanish with their original claim. Remember, the Spanish was over here first, but what you'll see over time is that the Spanish and the French, because the rulers on their thrones were blood related, the Spanish and the French, and you know, French, Spanish, and Portuguese, they can understand each other. So they were able to get along better. The English was the ones that ended up being the problem, right? So if y'all are unfamiliar with the geography, I put this up here just so you can see. This is Nova Anglia. This is New England right here. This is Acadia. Shout out to all y'all Cajuns. It'll be on the next map on the next page. But basically, Quebec, Acadia is where a lot of the French people were landing. It was hundreds of people about a month coming in to Acadia, right? Now, down here at the bottom where Iberville and New Orleans was, it wasn't that many people down there. So the British are coming into the East Coast, the French are coming into the East Coast, but the British are coming in much higher numbers. If you look at this in like the year 1700, it's already like within that small period of time in the last few decades of the 1600s, the English have already reached a population of 154,000. And the French is still at 14,000. And out of that 14,000, about 12,000 are up here in Canada. And it's only like 2,000 people in New Orleans, right? And the few forts that they've set up there. Now, this was a theater that Queen Anne's War was born into. Now, I really originally wanted to focus at the beginning on Queen Anne's War, but I had to ask myself, did you guys have any true understanding of the two wars that came before? So you have the first one, which is King Philip's War, which is Metacom's rebellion. That's the Great Narragansett War that happened up here. Basically, what King Philip's War was, that was the original rebellion from when them Pilgrims and Puritans and Quakers first got here. Basically, like imagine them English showing up and, you know, they ain't showing no respect to nobody. The English came over different than the French and the Spanish did. I think that y'all will catch that by the end of my presentation. The English basically came in on some shug shit, right? So that was that original war. They lost. Well, I can't really say they lost. They basically ended it on a treaty where the English originally said that they were going to honor Metacom's periphery. They were going to not expand any further, but that's actually what caused King William's War. King William's War actually went behind King Philip's War. And after King Philip's War, they immediately started breaking the treaty. As y'all know, these people are known for breaking treaties, right? And they actually set up the Hudson Bay Company. Just keep in mind, this is 1689. What I thought was real deep in 2022, I went and looked at it. The Hudson Bay Trading Company is actually still around, y'all. So the King William's War.
Hold on. They still around. Shit, some of us shop at their stores. Can I raise my hand real quick? I'm guilty. Have you ever been to Saks Fifth? Oh, okay. What about Tiffany and Co? A lot of shopping centers that have been around a long time. You know, just to name a few. Can I get an amen?
So at this point,
see, you got to go back to 2020 Topcat and shit like that when we was dropping that kind of shit.
Not only are the Indians mad because they like, man, if you don't get the hell out of my refrigerator, now the French is like, you in my backyard now. So the English came in and they were encroaching on everybody's territory. So it says that they're angry at the British interference with the fur trade. One thing, I'm gonna say this off the top. When we're talking about these goods and people being exchanged, it's the traders that's doing it. Traders. It's the traders. So the French incited the Abenaki tribes of Maine to destroy the rival English post at Permakey and attack the.
My bad, Big Sid, Professor Sid. But Moy brought up the Natchez. The Natchez, you know, they banged it out with the French, embarrassed them, because at the time a lot of niggas French had them hands. Natchez ran through them, what we doing? But they were smaller. So the French, I mean, this shit went global. This shit went global like the internet, nigga. That shit went viral. Gang shit. So French had to get their get back. And they come down there with them Choctaws, man. Them, you know, the Choctaws did niggas down there. But the Chickasaw popped it with them. I mean, they came, but they came kind of too late, because them niggas did run over Natchez. But Natchez ended up, Chickasaw ended up bringing Natchez in with them. You feel me? So that helped Chickasaw with their slave trading ass. Yeah, them niggas was slave trading like a motherfucker. But they can fight. They weren't the biggest, but they was the bad. It sound like some BCU shit, huh? Chickasaw, nigga, for a while, nigga went compromised. Then they brought them to Chickasaw used to take their refugees, they'll bring them up, come through Missouri, all that shit there, and take them to Charleston, send them to the West Indies. That was they play. But you had some niggas by that time got down in the 1760s, I'm sorry, you're going to have the Westos come down there. Westos are Iroquois people. Today, they'll follow them the Cherokee branch. But, nigga, this is like, nigga, two giants, nigga, in the Coliseum. Nigga, you got off the Mississippi, nigga, the heavy hitters, heavyweight champions, nigga, in drilling Chickasaw, and you finna put them up against what they'll call the Iroquois, but they was just a branch of the Iroquois. And nigga, that's what everybody wanted to see. Everybody had their eyes on that one, and them niggas hit. And they hit. So you got the hardest niggas coming from up top, and they finna hit with the hardest niggas on the Mississippi. Yeah, you gotta come watch my. Yeah, y'all gotta go back to 2020, 2021 Top Cat. Y'all want to know what happened with that
frontier settlement.
The two heaviest hitters in America at that time lined it up, and they hit. And boy, that was one for the ages.
And the English also at this point in time, they weren't very unified. It was just different groups of people coming over here. And so by the time you get to Queen Anne's War, there's already problems. The Indians is like, who the hell is these people? The French is like, if you don't get your hand out of my pocket, you know, so let's move forward.
Hey, TikTok, as soon as I
now, these are the claims before and after the French War. This is the Hudson Bay Company. I just wanted you guys to see this. If you look, this is basically the year 1700, and look at how big French claims are. And this is where Acadia is. They do not hold on to that long. And this is the colonies. And this is where we are in like 1763. 1763, you see no French presence on this map. How do we get from here to there? That's what we're about to do. Let's walk. And why this matters to me. You know, when I started on my path for my genealogy, you know, I started looking at a small town, and you know, you big city boy, you thinking that you know, you come from a small town, it can't be that much history down there. But the more you study, what you find out is the deeper history in this country is in those small towns. And a lot of times the small towns are basically the remnants of what was left of larger empires, or, you know, things that were much larger and meant something to our people. So, you know, I was going through my genealogy, and, you know, I was talking to one of my second cousins, my
hold on 1 second, Big Shake. They say where the Choctaw fit in. Well, the Choctaw were the deepest, so they had prime trade routes. And this was the situation with the Chickasaw. The Chickasaw went to the French and was like, hey, we can get it to you for a cheaper number. But the French went crazy. They knew that their allegiance with the larger nation there, which would be the Choctaw, would be more beneficial, especially in wartime, because certain areas the Choctaw were in, the Chickasaw wasn't even allowed in. Because Chickasaw was jackals. Like I said, they were slave raiders. They'll tie your ass up, nigga, and have your ass on the boat on the way to the West Indies. So, you know, they was looked at as niggas that'll slime you, that'll backdoor you. So, yeah, to keep that, the French like, nah, I'm just gonna fuck with the Choctaw. So the Chickasaw, being who they are, they smacked them. And see, the French knew either way it went, if we go over there with them, eventually we're gonna wake up one day, they're gonna smack us. You feel me? Nah, gang shit. That's just the reputation these niggas had. If we don't, we still gonna have to smack. They gonna still try to smack us. So we just gonna stay with the Choctaw. And if it ever do come down to a Royal Rumble, we'll have the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, they feared them niggas, man. No, the Chickasaw was there. They Hamilton, square business, and they were known for smacking shit. But if you want to do the business side, Choctaw be your best bet because they got more land, more geography, more allegiance. They can go further up the Mississippi than the Chickasaw can. Chickasaw really ran the inland areas. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kept them out of, they did have a relationship with the English and shit, and they were, like I said, they were pushing over to areas with the British at that time, you know what I'm saying? Helping them out, but they didn't have no allegiance with them. Even when it came down to signing treaties, you know what I'm saying? They didn't give a fuck. They'll sign the treaty over here. The treaty say you can't fuck with nobody but me and them. Man, they go right around the corner and get another plug. Because in the end, he feel like he gonna smack him and take him all down. Like the Chickasaw had to be stopped. Them niggas, I'm telling you, cuz they had to be stopped.
Grandmothers, sisters, children, a little older than me that still live down there in Shibuya. And she put me on this book. They interview her mother as well as, a lot of other people from the town. It's called Life and Death in the Small Southern Town, Memoirs of Shibuya, Mississippi. And, it's always going to be genealogy based with us. Go talk to your people. Shout out to the brother in BCU. He found a lot of his stuff today. He found like tons of records. Those records exist. You got to go looking for your family. Your ancestors are looking for you. And it was like when I found this book, a gateway opened up on me. And, it's like you find things that, confirm everything that you see in all of the records and everything your family been telling you. When you hear about, Shibuya, which means, I want to say murky water or shady water. It's a Choctaw word. They said that the way that they describe it is that it had been there for many generations before white people came there. Shibuya is actually on the Chickasaw River, and there's a couple other creeks over there. My folks' land was over there by Mingo Creek. They called my great-grandfather Suge. They called him Suge because he had a house on top of Sugar Hill. You know what I mean? And another thing, genealogy, I'm always slip these in here on y'all, is it was hard for me to find information on this town because it was so many different spellings. He-wani, Yo-wani, Y-O-U, U-wani, E-wana. But these are the same people. I knew that it was an Indian school there, and I found out basically that the Indian school, I couldn't find it by looking for an Indian school because in history, they have it labeled a mission. They call it a mission, right? So a lot of times you got to, work with what you got and, what else could they call it, and I find it. And it says it in this, so we go back, you hear these songs like, one of my favorite songs, Bob Marley, 400 years, 400 years. when I looked at when I was younger and I was looking at a lot of that stuff, it didn't make sense to me because it hadn't been 400 years. We still count. It ain't really been 400 years for me and my folks, right? Like the earliest map they have it is 1771, and the number that I always had in my head was from 1729, because I knew that, and one thing I want to say off the top, this is where they dating the French Catholic missionaries, but that there were also French Huguenots that came down to Mississippi. The French Huguenots, if you know anything about that Louisiana history, they were not legally allowed to go down to Louisiana. They were not allowed to go to New Orleans, but tons of them did anyway. So there were actually French Huguenots that went down and passed through. Because remember, at this time, Mississippi was considered French land. This was Louisiana at the time. You know, New Orleans was in Mississippi, Alabama area before they moved it, right? So, you know, I'm going through my history of what I know, you know, from verbal record, and I'm trying to line it up. But yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff you can find. And anybody that's trying to find that French Huguenot history, it's a website called Musée Huguenot. And you can also just look at the history of New Orleans. They talk about how during the same time period I'm about to go into, when the French lost control, the Huguenots basically just kept pouring in. So, you know, that's what my folks was. They was down here in the small town named Shibuda. And, you know, we ran across the missionaries and some of them nice traders. And, you know, they ran across the Creek and Choctaw Indians starting in 1702. So
hey, Martin, I got some of them in my genealogy in my early Texas history.
I guess they started expanding out from there. So people that's in that area, if you have those verbal stories, the earliest you're going to get a story.
Your ass better not be my cousin, nigga. Fuck that. Nigga, I'm disowning the family, nigga. They done made your ass, nigga. And me, nah, hell nah, nigga. Yo ass, I knew we would have grown. You would have had me fighting every day, nigga. Fuck that, nigga. Yo ass better not be in the tree, nigga.
From dealing with these people in 1702, my number is.
Nigga, you gonna come visit? You gonna come put some commissary on my motherfucking books, nigga? You gonna come visit me, nigga? If I ever have a cousin, nigga, yo ass have my ass in the penitentiary, nigga. Doing a life sentence, nigga.
1729. It ain't been 400 years from us. And also, you got a record of the Scots coming down there. Also, it was Welsh people. That's why a lot of times they don't say just English. They say Brits. It was Scots down here in Mississippi. It was Welsh or Dutch, if you want to say that. French. Some of everybody came through. You know what I mean? And, you know, for the most part, it was cordial until you got to certain points. But just to, you know, put a pin on this for you.
You Irish niggas with your Irish beards. Yeah, with your Irish ways.
The importance of the Yawani would be Chief Yawani if you're trying to find them in history, because when the colonizers were outlining the territory that they were going to give the Indians, Chief Yawani saw him down there with their tape or string or whatever it was.
Be his cousin. So that means your ass wouldn't have came and visit me, nigga, or answer my phone call. Yeah, okay, so you wouldn't put no commissary, but I would have been fighting every day, nigga, because all you do is fuck with people and start shit. And I would end up in a penitentiary, nigga, for goddamn me unaliving niggas for your ass. And then he talking about he don't want me as his cousin. You sure right then, nigga.
He watched them and he saw him getting too close to the tribe, and he actually said to him, "Stop, go south. You may not proceed." And he stood off with the people that were outlining the territory. And Shibuda's in Clark County, but this actually happened in Wayne County. Clark County and Wayne County is also where the Yawani Reservation was. It's not there anymore. You know, I'm gonna try to point that out too. It's a couple of the reservations on the East Coast that I know about now that aren't there anymore. But there was a Yawani reservation there before they moved all the Choctaw further north. And that's why if you look at this area here, the territory is a straight line. You see that if you can see between Wayne Jones and the cross, because he basically was like, if you come any further north, you're gonna have a problem. So yeah, that's my folks right there, Shibuda, Mississippi. Man, you gotta love the small towns, man. And you know, there definitely is some history. They call it the Hanging Bridge in Shibuya. I'm not gonna go any further than that. There's a lot of deep history, and there was a lot of fights that happened down there in that area. So moving forward, going into the 1700s, this is Acadia right here. You know, your Cajun, your English.
Yeah, but
and with the establishment of Fort Maurepas, as we went over last time in part one, we get the beginnings of the new French colony of Louisiana.
With this, you get so he can go to school. Goddamn, I did it.
The various Indian allies that the French made, which would be the Yazoo, the Uma, the Ucha, the Bayogola. Shout out to the Bayou people, the Tahoma, and the Choctaw. And along with that, you have the enemies that they made. Now, I'm not going to call them the allies of the British or the English, because that wasn't the reality of it. The reality of it at first is that these were just the tribes that didn't want to have anything to do with the French, and they were kind of forced into this. So you have the enemies of them, which would be the Chitimacha, the Karoya, and the Chickasaw. So at this point in the early 1700s, because of the things that had already been happening, you had the brother tribe, the Choctaw and the Chickasaw, who are already in hostility with each other. And also further north, because remember that the French came down the Mississippi River, up the Mississippi River, and up until like the Arkansas River, right? And so they had their allies in Illinois, Kaskaskia, Cahokia down here where them other cats be saying Cairo, Illinois is. That's actually Cahokia. That's what it was at the time. Peoria, Illinois is down there. That still has a name. Samaroa and the Michigamia, who Michigan is actually named after, right? And then also further south, you have the Natchez that we'll get back to later, that were allied with the French until later. And the Creek were also allied with the British colonists early on. And the Creek were very important. So lines of conflict are being set by the colonists, which isn't really a good thing. So for development of the timeline, some background going into Queen Anne's War. In King William's War, the war that I was just talking about, where the English were pushing in, the Yamasee had been pushed out of Florida, right? When they came out of Florida and they came up into the Carolinas, a portion of them took on the name Westo, and they started trading in the Carolinas. Once again, when they came into the Carolinas, did they ask anybody permission to start moving like that? It was already tried. We'll get back to that one. So this led to border disputes. Going back to King William's War again, in the north, they fighting the French because they pushing in the French territory. In the south, they fighting the Spanish because they pushing into the Spanish hustle. So this is from a good article, The Southern Frontier and Queen Anne's War. Already the expulsion of the Westo from the lower Savannah had cleared the way for trade expansion southwestward among the inland tribes. Their route was protected against flank attack from St. Augustine. The Charlestown, we know as Charleston, North Carolina, traders made rapid progress among the Oconee, like Billy Bowlegs, just to point these out for you. O'Cheese,
Billy, we had to take
which would be Kawita, which like Chief Mac.
I'm saying we had to take that Billy, we had to take Billy back. They were trying to have Billy out there looking like, nah, we took that back and brought him the facts. Biggie and Jones.
McIntosh, the Casita, like your Hulo Miko, and the Okmugi.
We
can't remember her name. I should have put it there.
We sitting there 4
seated
hours.
With the upper Oconee and above the forks of the Altamea.
Yeah,
so this is where they were, right there in the middle. They pretty much set up shop right in the middle of everybody else's shop, right?
They say,
and when the early wars had exhausted the supply of their friendly Indians, because let me go back one more sentence. With their expanding Indian relations, South Carolina became the center of the trafficking Indian slaves as well as deer skins. Remember, these things go hand in hand. When you see them trading deer skins, when you see them trading, they trading people as well. They trading slaves. When the early wars had exhausted the friendly Indians, they basically had to go further. So they were slaving these people out. The Chewanoke, the Weapanoke, if y'all know the name, the Chewanoke over here at one point was the largest tribe in this area. Nobody talks about them. The Tuscarora, this is like right in their backyard. And then you have the Catawba here in the Cherokee, if you know their name. So basically, they started operating on people that were their friends, and they was just hustling them. And in the meantime, the Timucuan Indians from the interior of Florida had pretty much been exhausted. They were slaving these people to the point that the tribes were moving or they weren't existing anymore. They were taking entire populations of people and putting them into slavery. You know, this is in Florida going up to the Carolinas. The Yamasee were doing that in Florida, and they brought their same ways up to the Carolinas. So when they exhausted all of them, what did? They started going west to the Appalachians. You see? So they exhausted Spanish Florida. They exhausted what they could do in the Carolinas, so they started going west. So on the eve of Queen Anne's War, which in Europe was called the War of Spanish Succession, there were already disputes over the title of the land, the buccaneering of the piracy, and runaway slaves, which were basically runaway Indians in this system. So by aggressive, belligerent methods, even in times of peace, the Carolina traders threatened the maintenance of Spanish authority everywhere beyond the protection of a few weak and isolated garrisons. Florida was in danger, and with Florida, another colony which existed is yet only the purposes of Iberville and the French ministers, Louisiana. Throughout the last decade of the century, the center of Carolina trade had remained on the forks of the Altamaha. Several years before the century's close, however, the bolder traders had established their factories among the Alabama, the Tallapoosa, and the Abeka near the forks of Alabama, and had laid in train alliance with Chickasaw. So they're going west, and they're trying to figure out how they can involve the Chickasaw in this hustle, which more than any other single factor was destined to thwart the complete attainment of the French design in the lower Mississippi Valley. From the villages of the Choctaw near the Tombigbee to the Acalapisa at the mouth of the Pearl to the country of the Arkansas west of the Great River. I'm sorry, somebody hit me on my phone. I appreciate this. All right. The Chickasaw, now that they were supplied with arms by the English, who bought their captives as slaves, became the scourge of the defenseless Western tribes. So just to stick this point, the Chickasaw, now that they were supplied with arms by the English, these trades go hand in hand, who bought their captive as slaves, they became the scourge of the defenseless Western tribes. So you got the unconquerable Chickasaw, and what are they doing? They slaving. And you got the Yamasee coming fresh out of Florida. What do they do when they get to Carolina? They slaving, right? And this is Queen Anne's War. So at this point in time, the Indians, and by the way, you can always see my references if you want to look right off in the middle. At this point in time, the Indians that were allied with the French were amalgamating with them. That was a huge difference between the English and the French. The French came in and they were coming into the tribe the natural way. Indian Women and French Men. That's a good book. I'm going to just leave it there. You have records of French Indian marriages, Indian baptisms. And to stick the point on that one, something I heard in the past week, they were asking, why can't you find Indian names on a lot of these documents? Because especially when you're looking at Mississippi and Alabama, when the French came in, the point you took a French name, I guess, would have been the point that you got baptized. So that's why when we looking on our ancestors' records, it's more likely for you to find in those. And by the way, these records are in the French church. They're still in the French Catholic Church, right? You're going to find French names. That's okay, because the French were doing it the right way. The same thing that Powhatan tried to do with them English. When you come amongst the tribe and you're trading with the tribe, the right way to do things is to become a part of the tribe. Take a wife, make friends, come to the cookout. You know what I mean? Bring a beer, something. Don't just come and start stealing. So the French did it the right way, right? And the Chickasaw started trading with the British when they were established in the Carolinas. Trade networks were linked by the urban centers of trade, which allowed exchange between them. A quote out of this book, Lords of the Southeast, that talks about the ballers of that era. These exotic materials were often used to convey an individual's status and authority. Exotic trade goods included copper, quartz, mica, galena, and pyrite. During the period after the founding of Virginia between 1607 and 1680, These exchange practices enabled tribes such as the Tutelos, Occaneechees, Tuscaroras, and Catawbas to bring English goods to people as far land as the Cherokee in the mountains and the Creeks, Alabamas, and Choctaws among the Mississippi River. Once again, these are things that they're trading for. What are they trading the other way? They're trading people. This is Indian slavery. Those are the things, and that's another thing when you read these books, you got to walk it through and you got to see what they're saying in between the line. And another important factor was the Creek-Muskogee alliance with the British. The British had to maintain a good relationship with the Creek to even get this far inland. So think about it. They coming from Florida. They coming from the Carolinas. The Creek is the largest nation in between there. So they had to develop some type of relationship with the Creek, even when they were attempting to be friends with the Choctaw. So, you know, they set up forts and other garrisons in Creek territory. And this is a book about that right there, the Creek frontier. So Queen Anne's War was considered the American theater for the War of Spanish Succession. It was triggered by the death of Charles II of Spain, the Habsburg king, not the little black boy, and his heirs fighting over his territories. The conflict drew in many European powers, including Spain, Austria, France, the Dutch Republic, Savoy, and Great Britain. This is a point in history where Spain still controlled the Spanish Netherlands. That's why you had Dutch people coming over here, a majority of Italy, the Philippines, and the American territories. This is after King Philippe. So that's how they got the Philippines, because they had already captured that Trans-Pacific trade. To give you an idea of what was happening. So you already had the Trans-Pacific trade going on, and this is the beginning of what would end up becoming what we call the transatlantic trade. But at this point, this is all Indian business. There's no way around it. And so Queen Anne's War is considered the third Indian War after King Philip and King William's War, even though the cause was not Indian at all. This is the beginning of that East Coast beef coming down to the South. This is when y'all East Coast cats started bringing your drama down our way, man. All right. So in the South, the British and Spanish attacked each other. In New England, the British and French attacked each other. On the seas, this is considered the golden age of pirates. In North Africa, you had thousands of captives from Barbary piracy, if y'all know what I'm talking about. And that was anywhere from Ireland all the way to Algiers on that ocean. That ocean was before planes, you had to control the water. Now in Indian territory over here, trading with the colonies is bringing weapons in. Now all of a sudden you got guns and you have all these European things coming in our territory. And then trade, the colonists are getting food because they still not planning their own food, protection, and labor captives. This period, in my opinion, is the most lawless era of modern history. So why did the Chickasaw ally with the English? Chickasaw.tv is a good site. Y'all might want to check it out. In their words, the Chickasaw say that the reason why they allied, and that's at the bottom down here, the reason that they allied with the British is because the English gave them an ultimatum. The British told them that if they didn't ally and trade with them, they would bypass them and they would trade with the Choctaw. And the Chickasaw didn't want that because the Choctaw outnumbered the Chickasaw by 4 to 5 times. The Choctaw has always been the largest tribe over there. Early British settlers might not have succeeded in colonizing America without the help of the Chickasaw. While other tribes were fighting the British, the Chickasaw integrated with them and made that alliance. You see what's happening here. Everybody else wasn't messing with the British, but the Chickasaw did. And they began trading with them in 1670. In the early years, the Chickasaw would defend the British from the Choctaws, and the Choctaws and British would coordinate trade for each other. The British wanted deer skin and other goods in exchange for their advanced weapons and metal commodities. While allied with the British, the Chickasaws would often engage in battle against the allegiance of the French and Choctaw. The British noticed their warlike prowess and were quick to arm the Chickasaws against the French. The unconquerable Chickasaws aided the British well, right? So let's keep going. So once again, Chickasaw, Choctaw, French, British. That's the way you should see that. So keep in mind what we were talking about here. You have the Yamasee trading the Tuscarora. You have the Yamasee up here in the Carolinas slaving all these other tribes and taking their land. How long did you think that was going to go on before the Tuscarora or somebody did something against that? The next war we go into is the Tuscarora War. And I put some Tuscarora people because, you know, another thing they be trying to say is we don't look like them. All right, whatever. You know, if you ain't got an uncle that look like that, that's you. And this is another book right here, The Indian Wars in North Carolina. I'm going to keep giving you sources to bash their heads in with these. The Tuscarora War. Several sources of conflict arose between the British colonists and the Tuscarora. While it would seem that the land was plentiful, the Native Americans built their villages on the riverbank locations sought by colonists who looked for fertile soil and access to water transportation. The European settlers often cheated the Native Americans in trade and sometimes stole from them or killed them to obtain goods. The increasingly brisk trade in slaves further depleted the Indian populations. You see what's happening here? They're depleting them. Other problems arose from the intrusion of a culture that clearly defined land ownership upon another whose notions of ownership were much more subjective. To the Tuscarora, land and the animals that roamed it were not personal property, but natural resources. Yet when they personally grew, what they personally grew belonged to the grower, and they respected that ownership. But the colonists rarely understood when the Tuscarora raiding party took their livestock or when they set fire to the land for their annual hunts. So you've heard us say this before. We didn't have, and to me personally, I still don't feel like we have the same understanding of ownership that these people have, because you would have to study Europe and how in Europe they was already putting gates up and like they would kill you if you snatched the apple off of somebody's tree. Pay attention to the way you live now. Literally, you got places called grocery stores that they keep soap and food behind security guards. We clearly don't have the same way of looking at the world as these people. So granted, if you grew something that belonged to you, but the animals didn't belong to you, the land didn't belong to you, you just had a cultural backlash there. And at first, both sides tried to avoid armed conflict. The colonial government signed treaties with the Tuscarora designed to protect their land and to ease trade relations, but the settlers often ignored or blatantly dishonored these agreements. In 1710, the Tuscarora attempted to go up to Pennsylvania, but they were denied permission because the Quakers up there had laws against Indian slavery in Pennsylvania. But the laws were written so broadly that it forbade Indian immigration there as well. So the Tuscarora were being squeezed out of their own land in the Carolinas. They were being enslaved to the point of extinction, and they tried to leave, but they couldn't leave because these people got these imaginary barriers. What do you think is going to happen, right? So to step on that one, I got another one right here. It's another one of those uncomfortable things to admit that the Tuscarora of 1711 and 1715 was fought over slavery. Yes, there were other important factors, anger over European intrusion, dishonest traders, but in June 1710, they sent the Pennsylvania Assembly protesting enslavement by local settlers and asked this bastion of Quakerism to refuse to purchase such slaves. So peep game, they refused to allow the Indians in, but they're still purchasing Indian slaves. You see what's happening here? And the Indians started their war in September of the next year when the colony was already torn apart by political intrigue, disease, and near famine. Weapons were few, and numerous Quakers in the colony refused as a religious tenet to take up arms in defense of the colony. To make a long story short, the Tuscarora opened the war with a surprise attack that left 140 men, women, and children dead. The North Carolina couldn't fight on its own, so they went to Virginia and asked for help. Virginia wanted land in return, so they turned to South Carolina, who sent in Colonel John Barnwell. His name will come up later. And he sent in an army of a few white men, to give you a number, 33, and 900 Indians, 900 Cherokee and Yamasee. See, this is how it's fought. You don't understand when until you get the numbers. This ain't 50 British and 50 Indians. This is 33 whites and 900 Indians. So now the Tuscarora had built the fort called Nia Hiroka. Forgive me, I'm not pronouncing it right, but they basically had built somewhere they could survive. And they, but it was mostly women, children, and elders in it. There were men in it, but this is where they protected people while they were out fighting. So while they were out, Colonel James Moore basically sends in the troops and they sieged it. They sieged it for 20 days with his army of 950 Indians, South and North Carolinians. It's funny, right? When you think about it, it's really 900 Indians and 50 white people. All right. So a few Tuscarora managed to escape, but what they ended up rounding up was 400 survivors who they did what? They sold them into slavery in South Carolina, consigning them to the fate that was the primary cause of the war to begin with. And that didn't end it. They still kept going until they got the Indians on the reservation at Lake Mattamuskeet. And I think that reservation originally was closed down, but it's back open now. I know for a fact that you can still take tours there now because the Tuscarora went to get it back. So basically, let's keep counting. We got Chickasaw slavery, Choctaw slavery, Timucua slavery, Tuscarora slavery. Now let's keep going on. The Yamasee. So after the Tuscarora War, directly after it, now you got to understand what the Yamasee going through. The Yamasee down from Florida, they up here in the Carolinas, they hustling, they doing what they got to do to survive, but the Yamasee still ain't got no land. The Yamasee still don't have no
like button, man.
And let's see how the English are treating them. This is one good book on it. I copped it, the Yamasee War. I mean, I recommend a lot of you get these, man. I mean, if you're into this information, like it's very interesting. The Yamasee as a people have been overlooked by the mainstream, and they'll tell you that the only book on it is the Yamasee Indians from Florida to South Carolina. You can grab that one as well if you want to. I think both of these are good books. They call it a really important event in the Southern and North American history, but they say a lot of people don't talk about it compared with this importance, right? So in the late 1600s, early 1700s, you have a time of great disruption and loss of lands as colonization forced tribes to be on the move. Chester DePrater explains this. By the time the Yamasee made their way to Charleston, South Carolina, sorry, I was saying North Carolina earlier, the Spanish had already been missionizing tribes in Florida for 100 years. When you read missionizing, what does that mean? They basically taking them into on their wing. They enslaving them and they giving them that option, either be civilized and brought into our system or, you're going to stay slaves. The British were involved in the slave trade throughout the Southeast and the Atlantic world, which included trade routes of importation and exportation of plants, goods, slaves, diseases, and all other items of colonization. Other Indians like the Chickasaw were making people move. The Erie had been forced out of western Pennsylvania by the Iroquois, and as they moved south, they became known as the West, though. They pushed the Yamasee toward the Georgia coast. The Erie had traded for guns with the French and British, but in the South, the tribes were unarmed. The Spanish had been more interested in missionizing than trading. According to him, arms could have been a major incentive for the Yamasee's move up the coast of Charleston. While there, they joined in the deerskin trade, however, they also were sent off to bring in Indian slaves. There's clear evidence that there was slaving. For several years, white slave traders would come in and run up the Yamasee's debts for pots, pans, and guns. When people couldn't pay the debts, the traders would demand women and children and take them to Charleston to sell them. This went on for 10 years, and then there was a revolt. The lifestyle of most of the natives of the region had been deteriorating. Now let's go to the account. It says in April 14, 1715, the Yamasee Indians welcomed a group of South Carolinians into their principal town of Port Pocotaligo, south of Charleston, about 60 miles. Alarmed at reports of Yamasee unrest, the English had come to reassure the Indians of their friendship and alliance. And the talks appeared to have gone well. Everyone went to bed that evening, as if seeming well pleased. So they woke up the next morning on Good Friday and found out the Yamasee that night had killed the majority of the British. They spent the remainder of the day torturing those few unfortunate enough to survive the massacre at dawn. When the Carolinians cried out in agony, "My God," the Yamasee warriors danced around repeating, "My God, my God, my God." Meant nothing to them. And the last one was Thomas Nairn. He was an Indian agent for the colony, and he was loaded with wood and roasted for several days before he was allowed to die. Clearly, the Carolinians had neglected an important step in the dialogue. It says that warriors from virtually every nation in the South, from the Catawba to the Piedmont to the Choctaw, all joined together in one of the most potent native coalitions to oppose the British in colonial North America. The warriors surrounded Charleston on every front but the sea. And it says the reason why they don't talk about the Yamasee War is because we almost won. It says they extinguished 10% of the white population in South Carolina, and almost all of them were slave catchers. And after the devastating loss there, North Carolina and South Carolina, they say, ended slave trade by the British, although slavery among the tribes continued. But to be honest, it didn't end there at all. The Carolinian trade losses caused by the Yamasee War took years to regain. The French in 1721 found that the Chickasaw assisted English were attempting to get the Choctaw on the English side. So what happens? They lose the Yamasee War and they go west into the Mississippi territory, and they're trying to convince the Choctaw to start the same hustle over there. They didn't stop slaving. They didn't stop the hustle. They just moved it.
Yeah.
So they tried to do that by incentives. They incentivized on both sides. Like, hey, if you do this for me, I do it for you. But the incentives that the French gave actually won out.
It's about military, those that did not live on the Gulf or live in any of these towns off the coast that commercial trade was going through. When you get inland, you know, the routes, these belong to people. You're in certain people territory. So allegiance were very important, because you see a lot of fighting, but what they fighting over? They fighting over trade. They fighting over territory. They're fighting over mineral wealth. And at this time, the beaver skin was the high commodity.
Here. So Bienville, the governor,
get the lights up.
What he did is he gave them enough guns and everything to handle them. Let's read what he wrote in his own words. It says, "Nothing of importance has taken place in this colony since my preceding letter, with the exception of the defeat of the Chickasaw, of whom the Choctaws, whom I have stirred to activity this winter, have just destroyed entirely 3 villages of this fierce and warlike nation who are disturbing the commerce of the river." It was all about the hustle.
What I tell you, and the the Chickasaw, it wasn't that many, but they were dangerous. And shit, they were blamed for keeping up all the bullshit. So what they do? They got together, say we're gonna have to pack them out. Period. They gotta go, fam. They're a threat. But the Chickasaw held they nuts. Bitch, if y'all want to scrap, bitch, I don't like you anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I don't fuck with you niggas.
This says they brought in 400 scalps and took 100 prisoners. This advantage does not fail to be of importance in the situation in which things are so much the more, since this affair took place without risking a single Frenchman. This is Indians against Indians, period. And it says, all by the care that I have taken to put these barbarians into play against each other, the sole and the only way to establish any security in the colony, because they will destroy themselves by their own efforts eventually. You can't make this up. You can't say that this didn't happen. And the war produced severe consequences for the Chickasaw. A group under the Squirrel King left the nation and by 1723 settled hundreds of miles away on the Savannah River. So you see that the Chickasaw start Mississippi, Alabama territory, and they end up in the Carolinas. That's the second thing you should be seeing is how these tribes are moving around at this point. You got the Yamasee who ended up going north. And by the way, the Yamasee actually ended up joining the Iroquois. To this day, the Yamasee are a member of the Iroquois nation. You got the Chickasaw moving out of this, and they're ending up in the Carolinas. You got the Cherokee going from north to south. It's a lot of tribes. You got the Timucua that pretty much end up in the Seminole. You know, a lot of these tribes are moving around. So ultimately, Bienville and the Council of War allowed the Chickasaw and Choctaw War to end in 1724. He said the last Indian nation is that of the Chickasaws, consisting of 800 men. They occupy 6 or 7 villages. These people breathe nothing but war and are unquestionably the bravest on the continent. However, the war that are made on them by the Choctaws has obliged them to come and ask for peace several times. Now, at the same time this is happening, right, you have the Natchez, and the Natchez are getting kind of fed up with this. And this is a slave story. This is, well, I guess all of these wars are slave stories. I guess y'all getting the trend of that one now, right, huh? Okay, so it says from the time of the first arrival in Natchez, enslaved people resisted bondage. Slavery existed in Natchez beginning in 1719 and continued through French, British, Spanish, and American rule. One of the earliest recorded incidents of an uprising in the area is the Natchez Indian Revolt of 1729 against the French colonists. The French brought the first African slaves, 1729, to Natchez to cultivate tobacco. Understandably, these Africans were resistant to forced migration and forced labor. Of course, they got to bring up their fiction, talking about the aggression, look like Amistad, whatever. But what happened is the Natchez Indians realized that the French were treating them just like the slaves. The Natchez Indians became aware that the French began to whip their young boys just as they did their enslaved Africans. This cruelty, along with pro-British leanings of some of the tribal leaders, you see what's happening. If the French ain't treating me right, I'm going to go with the English. If the English ain't treating me right, I'm going to go with the French. And also the French tried to grab their land. If you go down to Natchez right now, you're going to see a whole lot of French. They might not have French names, but if you look at them people, those French people down there right now. To protest the cruelty of the French, Natchez Indians recruited several enslaved individuals, promising them freedom, and staged a revolt against the French in 1729, wherein approximately 230 people were killed. The French retaliated, using their allies from other tribes to punish the Natchez. The Natchez Indians ultimately lost the war. Many were sold into slavery into the Caribbean, while others joined other tribes. They'll keep coming up. And here's another account of it. It says that afterwards, when the French in New Orleans heard the news about the massacre, they feared a general Indian uprising and were concerned that the Natchez might have conspired with other tribes. They first responded by ordering the massacre of the Chaucha people, who played no role in this, and wiped out their entire village. They literally went in and wiped out a totally different group of people, like Iraq and Iran. You say Iraq did it, Iran? Huh? Iraq did it, Iran? All right, we're going to attack Iran. That's what they did. They wiped out an entirely different group.
Hold on, y'all. Goddamn, we got Professor Sick in the building. We got the professor in the building right now, Dr. D's. Goddamn it. And he ain't no fake doctor. He's a real doctor. Yeah, so like I said, man, we get on the battlefield and they got, y'all see, I'm sitting back with my legs crossed. I'm leaning back in my recliner, my leg crossed, enjoying the show. Because I know any BCU nigga get out there, they gonna take care of business. This is better than, I mean, go find me some shit that's better. and he's sticking to his gun on Mississippi, and he walking that bitch down, and he bringing it all together. The Indian way, the BCU way, the proper way, so we can pass this shit down to generations, down the line. But a lot of Mississippi people are happy because they don't get to get Mississippi history. They get Mississippian history, which will take you up the Mississippi River and talking about everybody else except at home. And this brother took his time out to talk about small towns he come from. Not just talk about them, but he walked them. So he can show you him at Nayawata. He can show you on the trace, on the trail, the Pocahontas and shit, the trail and all that type of shit there down there. You feel me? He really even walked them grounds. So shout out to Professor Sick.
Group of people because the Natchez rebelled. The French and their Choctaw allies then retaliated against the Natchez villages, capturing hundreds of Natchez and selling them into slavery. Although many managed to escape to the north and they took refuge among the Chickasaw, and the Natchez waged low-intensity warfare against the French pretty much from that point on. And in 1730 and 31, they were forced to move on, and they lived with the Creek and the Cherokee tribes. By 1741, the Natchez had established a town in the northern parts of the Upper Creek Nation, and there, with the permission of the Abika, they reconstituted their town and were signatories in 1790's Treaty of New York and the Treaty of Coleraine, and they're also, to this day, a member of the Creek Nation. And to give you the other side of that, the Samba Rebellion is actually what they'll say is the African side of it. I'm not going to hide nothing from none of y'all. The Samba Rebellion is a slave rebellion that the French document in the history of Louisiana. It says the revolt took place at the time, and there was contemporarily Natchez revolt. So if you look at it from the African side, these are the African slaves that the Natchez got together with.
See, but really in Louisiana, we're not gonna get an African story until the 19th century. But if we were to look it up, the institutions would teach it this way. But honestly, they were indigenous people who came to their refuge, especially looking at the timeline. These were indigenous people. As we'll see, the Chickasaw are going to bring them in as allies.
And they did.
Basically, what they're saying these people are doing for them. You had tribes in Louisiana, the tribes, and for the Chickasaw, who's going to actually play that part that they're saying the Africans are playing.
They did.
But if you look it up, they will tell you that that's what happened.
So from there on out, it's on site with the Chickasaw and Choctaw. And then,
right.
You can't say that it shouldn't have been that way. The Chickasaw are going in the Choctaw villages, enslaving them. And I'm going to be honest and say I have let's just say 5 other sources of it. I have so much information on it, but I try not to make this too Choctaw heavy. I'm always going to go with the home team first. So I pulled out a lot of information I had about the Choctaw because it's a lot of important stuff happening to all of us. You got what happened to the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, and you cannot ignore the Creek. You can't ignore the Seminole even in this, because when you're talking about the Seminole, that's basically the Spanish and all of those over there, those tribes. So basically, now you have the Natchez in the Chickasaw Nation at this point in time. And you have the Chickasaw War, which is called the Second Chickasaw War because it's after that initial conflict, right? Basically, the French always wanted to work with the Chickasaw. But because of the Chickasaw's early involvement, like if you remember the Spanish with De Soto, they drove him out. The Chickasaw, in my opinion, I don't think that they ever voluntarily wanted to work with any of these people.
But
especially when the Natchez and all those other tribes started running from the French into the Chickasaw, it kind of left the Chickasaw in a bad predicament. So when the English came along, they had to choose sides. So I'm never going to say that the Chickasaw, they're the bad guys in this, because they're not. What you'll see is it's no good people. It's no white hats and black hats in this. It's just people is just trying to survive, man. So in 1731, the Chickasaw are harboring hundreds of Natchez Indians because the French are trying to destroy them. And the Chickasaw also, they're trying to break that route in between Canada and New Orleans, because New Orleans is still not self-sufficient into itself. What you'll find later, and it's going to come back later, is that New Orleans was still dependent on shipments from Canada and from France. New Orleans was still a small town. There was only 2,000 of.
And the reason for that is because we're looking at an empire. The French is an empire, and they are occupying certain geographies. New Orleans being one, Chicago, Haiti, and certain parts of Canada. That's why the Acadians that's gonna come down gonna create the Cajun culture, but they're French, but they're coming down, and this is why they're gonna be able to come down into that area. Because Haiti was a stronghold for them, but one of their most powerful, again, looking at New Orleans port is one of the largest in the world. So it's still, again, like he said, we're talking about they're hustling. And this is about controlling trade routes, especially port cities that control commercial trade routes. You talking about going inland, you gotta wait till the package hit the port, then bring that bitch up the Mississippi or these different river systems, and you might be impeding on other niggas' territory, so you might lose half your load because them jackers out. They'll walk
them down there versus the other 10,000 plus people that were in the region of Acadia and Canada from the north. So Chickasaw, being smart warriors that they were, what they did was they were attacking those Illinois outposts, and they were trying to break their connection with New France in Canada. So under heavy French pressure, a minority of the Chickasaw favored surrendering the Natchez refugees. And at the same point, the Chickasaw are still talking to the Choctaw to say, hey, man, we got these guys, ain't neither one of them on our side. We need to start working together and trying to figure out how to get these people off the land. So, all of these talks were going on in between there. And unfortunately, the Choctaw never went for it, which actually led to the Choctaw Civil War like 10 years after that. There was always a portion of the Choctaw that wanted to go with the French, and there was a portion of the Choctaw that wanted to deal with the Chickasaw and just go back home with their brother and deal with the English. But unfortunately, it ended up being what it was. So you have the Battle of Ocklawaha, where the French tried to take out the Chickasaw. And of course, that didn't work out well. They sent in 130 French soldiers and 366 Iroquois, Arkansas, Miami, and other Illinois Indians. And they left the French. They left like 30 French to guard what they had. And they went to try to attack the Chickasaw, and they lost. They lost 19 people, 17 of them died, and 2 Frenchmen were held captive. They tried to get them back, but those 2 Frenchmen ended up sold to the English as well. And prisoners of war. And then you had the larger Battle of Acadia, because Bienville didn't hear about what happened in Ocklawaha. So they actually got a larger regiment of people. They got 600 Choctaw, 500 and something Europeans, and 45 Africans. Look at the ratio. And they tried to attack the Chickasaw again. And they set up another garrison closer to the Chickasaw, and they got their asses handed to them again. No other way to put it. And they lost 200 people. 100 of them were killed, and 100 of them were wounded. And this is pretty much how it went during the Chickasaw Wars. The Chickasaw would lose some, and they would lose some warriors. The Choctaw would lose some warriors. But at the end of the day, everybody lost. And in between time, I already brought up the Choctaw Civil War. I fly past that one just to keep it going. So you have all of these issues raging in the same 63-year span. Queen Anne's War, the Chickasaw War, the Natchez Revolt, the Tuscarora War, the Yamasee War, the Fox Wars further north. And at this point, you're seeing all this slavery, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Natchez. I mean, it's so many instances of slavery. It's so much going on in these Indian wars. When I hear people saying that they have no idea this happened, I don't know what rock they crawl from underneath. I don't know who these people related to that they didn't know that this happened. And it all came to head with the French Indian War, which was right before the American Revolution, right? The French Indian War, they called the 7 Years' War, was in 1756. And when the French tried to expand further into the Ohio River Valley, it brought them again in conflict with the British, especially in Virginia. In 1754, when they built Fort Duquesne near Pittsburgh along the Ohio River, they found themselves in conflict with the British. So, hold on one second. All right, let's go. The war didn't begin well for the British. The governor they sent down there, General Braddock, he came in and he alienated the Indians. The English had no respect for the Indians. I'm going to say that flat out. So he ended up dying very early on in the war. And the French, even though it was fewer than them, it was 150,000 English and it was only like 15,000 French. But the French had the lay of the land and the French had more Indian allies. The French were allied with the Choctaw, the Cahokia, the Illinois Confederacy, all the way up to here, the Michigan Indians. Right. So the English started off in a bad way.
That's what I was saying earlier. Why the French didn't want to commit to the Chickasaw, even though the Chickasaw were offering the cheaper price. They didn't have the relationships because of their reputation. They were jackers. They were slave traders. So niggas was scared of them. So I'm going to fuck with the nigga that got allegiance, that can get my shit from point A to point B to me with no conflict. And if it is conflict, it's going to be the goddamn Chickasaw jackers, Osage, and all these other niggas, especially when you're getting up there to Michigan, Wisconsin, and now you better have somebody on your motherfucking side, nigga. Because by the time your ass get past Illinois, nigga, your ass ain't going to make it out there Great Lakes region, nigga. Because it's jackers everywhere. But if you got allies who got allies who got allies who, you feel me, making money together. Shit, nigga, that's why the French went with them. And at the same time, people need to understand when you're saying French and all that, it's not meaning that these people are European or from another place. But what is actually meaning is that it's a such thing as French Indians. It's a such thing as British Indians. Like, I remember when they was up near the upper north colonies. And the chiefs had met. It was a big meeting. They called them out. Hey, can y'all meet us here? They made it up. So they made it up. Now, my bad. I was over here looking at something I was doing. One of the chiefs said when he sat down, one thing that he noticed was that the Indian chiefs that were there were speaking in French dialect. And it shocked him. But people not understanding, you got Spanish Indians, British Indians, French Indians, That's why when you look into the British, why did most Indians fight on side of the British inside the Revolutionary War? Because the British were not trying to change their culture, customs, names, or any of this shit. So that's another, indicator that the story that they gave us was wrong, because they said that the British did all this shit to us. But actually, most people fought for them because they was keeping their line. That's why the 1763 Proclamation Act was drawn, to stop niggas from raiding Indian lands. Why? Because this is my people now. King of England saying this is my people now. That's why a lot of British niggas will operate in Virginia, one of the strongest military places here, unless you're going into the Southeast. But when you're talking about protecting it from niggas coming from up north, niggas coming out of Greenland, Canada, or the Spanish coming down out of Florida, or these things right here, they had to depend on Norfolk, which today the U.S. still depends on Norfolk. Norfolk, Virginia is an ancient place. They've been scratching down there. It's been one of the greatest for ship detail or battleships and all that shit there. Yeah, you got the niggas in the upper colonies. They was cold. The fastest ships did come out of New England. But you talking about mighty military force based off their geographics and their government and their setup they had down there, that was in Virginia. And they did not ask the Indians to change anything about themselves. Why? Because most of them were assimilated in bloodline. Most of them were related in bloodline for the hierarchy, and the niggas laying the government down. That's why they were attacked. So you get the Powhatan War starting in 1603, what they call it. But these are wars from niggas coming out of a certain area, I'm not going to say right now, and they wanted to, disband this government. And as we see them rise, they're going to always be attached to who? Massachusetts. Who's in Massachusetts? The Italians, the Spaniards, the Italians, the Spanish, the Irish. And you also have, the Pilgrims and shit coming there representing the Parliament, which was different than, your Puritans and Walloons and shit like that, who was pushing a harder line for its Protestantism or Catholicism. You did? But let's walk. Let me let the professor finish.
But what the English did is they cut off France. They came around and they seized the French Caribbean islands, the Barbados and all of those islands. They seized Spanish Cuba and they seized the Philippines. They basically cut the Spanish and the French off from all of their overseas help. So they put the French...
Yeah, because they were their greatest enemies. The allegiances that they made, like one play that they did, the Treaty of Easton, 1758. They had pushed the Lenape off their land, sending them to Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Now, if you leave out of Wyoming, Pennsylvania, once you start going west, you're going to run into French Indians that had French allies. You were in Indiana and Illinois, and these niggas right on the cuff, right across from them is Canada. So yeah, they met up. Over 500 chiefs was there as well, and they said, "Hey man, we'll give y'all land back. The land that was taken, we'll give it back, so y'all don't go and support the French." Because the French said, "Hey man, fuck them niggas. Them niggas that ran over y'all, ran y'all through there. They sent them niggas out there to kill Big Turtle. Like, come over here with us. Bang it out. Fuck them niggas." But they stayed, under the Treaty of Easton. That's what they were signed for. So they saw them as threats. So from the Queen Anne Wars going all the way down, their thing was to get a stronghold. That's why it was so important to get South Carolina, so they could fight against Spanish territories down here. And man, that was a whole mess in in itself. But you see them stretching themselves out. which when the raids start coming in, it's gonna come from the top. It's gonna come over here. It's gonna come from up top, right off the coast of Canada, upper Northeast, New England and shit. And it's gonna come to the Great Lakes. When they leave the Great Lakes, it's gonna come to Virginia. They trying to break these strongholds, which they would. You get the Battle of Bloody War. So yeah, you get those right there, which is gonna decimate a lot. And they're gonna make their way down, and they're gonna be stopped in resistance at what's called the Westavo today, that's known as the Savannah River. They're gonna stop for time being. Now, 1783 Treaty of Paris, and by the time we get to the 1800s, beginning of the 1800s, fuck that, nigga. We bouncing out by any means necessary.
The situation where they might win the war, they might lose the war, but they had to give up the United States. And that pretty much ended in 1763 after Spain lost the war. Spain tried to take over Portugal, and they came up with the Treaty of Paris. And in the Treaty of Paris, Great Britain got custody of everything east of the Mississippi, and they gave Spain custody of everything west of the Mississippi.
I didn't know I was throwing that bitch out the glass so he could dunk it backwards.
This is the map. And this is a very important one in my opinion. When you hear people talk about Mississippi and Alabama as slave territory, they have no idea what they're talking about. This is 1763. In 1763, and we'll get to it, the first thing that Britain did is they gave the Indians their own land because they started seeing something. I'll talk about it in a minute. And another thing, you don't see the French on this at all. The French don't get this back till 1800. We'll get to it. But talking about the Treaty of Paris, the French and Indian War acted to unite the colonies, right? Keep in mind, they were all acting separately up until this point, but they had to work together to win this war. Yeah, and this was a very expensive war. We're going to get to those expenses in a second too.
And most Indians fought with the French. Most Indians fought with the French over the British in the French and Indian War. They call it the French and Indian because, nigga, not the French was fighting the Indian, because the Indians and the French was fighting everybody else at. But then the most powerful pieces on the board in those particular areas, them niggas switch sides. Niggas switch sides on me. Let niggas ride on me. Thought it was cool. Why you want me to die, homie? Many, man. Many. And so they're going to have to turn all that over, their trading routes, to the British. But once the British got up there talking about, hey, homie, look out, we won, so this is my shit. Them niggas was in the trees putting bow and arrows and motherfucking 223 rounds through them niggas' ass. Yeah, like a motherfucker. You better get your bitch ass away from here.
And if you look, Mississippi is split north and south at this point. You have West Florida over here, and then you have East Florida over here. And it's also Indian Territory is split east and west. You have Louisiana split Spanish now. You have Spanish Louisiana, and you have English east of the Mississippi. Now, keep in mind, the people didn't disappear. The English are claiming this territory, right on, but it ain't like the French went anywhere. And this is also
the population is predominantly British. No, that's not the case. The people are still there, and they still feeling like, nigga, you an outsider.
Period. Where you get even more of the French Huguenots coming in because the French didn't control this area. So you have more and more flooding the settlers into this area, but it was limited to the 32nd parallel. It was limited to underneath where you have West Florida. The Indian Reserve was right there. And this is pretty much unclaimed land. So the tribes are agitated. The French have lost all of their North American possessions in 1763, but it's still French people here. All of those Acadians, shout out to the Cajuns that's in Louisiana. Shout out to the Creoles that's in Louisiana. The people didn't go anywhere. The people kept their identity. The people kept their culture. So when you're talking about all these changes of hands during these colonial periods, you're talking about land claims. You can't align that with like one day somebody speaking French and one day somebody speaking Spanish. The culture didn't change that quick, and that's why it's so important to talk about culture. And this period only lasted from 1763 to 1781, even though
that's why it's not. Then you get to 1803, Louisiana purchase, but God damn it, it's already niggas living down there in Louisiana who been running like y'all big dogs and bitch, I ain't going nowhere. I got too much money, too much invested in this. And so after, 1812 battle of New Orleans, the whole battle of 1812. But when you get into New Orleans, there's gonna be a deal made. Check, it's gonna be a deal made where they're going to find allegiance with some of those hierarchy bloodlines, because there was a caste system down there in Louisiana, and they're gonna get into their caste system. Now, a lot of them niggas in Louisiana, like you saying, Spanish, you got Spanish occupancy there. That was back and forth with Spain. Like, even in this port, the 1700s, after the French and Indian was 1768, and turn it over to the Spanish and some slick shit that the French was doing. They turned it over to the Spanish, but that ain't last long. And like I say, that war gonna break out. In 1812 is really gonna define it, though. With the help of the Baratanians and what's that crazy ass nigga name, man, that went and helped Napoleon escape. He faked his death and helped Napoleon escape. His name will come up and it'll come to mind.
On paper, they say 1783 when Spain captured Pensacola. So at that point in 1783, all of this is Spanish.
Fred.
And the U.S. territory is only this here. So in 1783, you see Georgia pretty much encompasses Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And North Carolina is all the way down. Virginia is literally like Illinois and all of that. Virginia just gets huge. And look at Massachusetts. These are the land claims. This doesn't change who the people were. And this is after the war and after the Treaty of Paris, you get to what led to the American Revolution. Because the English had to protect all of this territory, that's when they had to start taxing the tribes. And we got to go over what it says on paper. We got to go over the reasons they give for doing it. And the way that they taxed them was a Stamp Act of 1765. They say that was the first internal tax levied directly on the American colonists by the British. And it was an act on paper. Basically, any piece of paper you had, but keep in mind the importance of paper. You got to think about deeds of ownership, deeds of sale, leases of sale. All of those, they didn't tax the land, they taxed the deed to own the land. And if you can think about it, that's real tricky. That was real slicker than to do. So in West Florida, the biggest population centers are still Mobile, Alabama, and Natchez, and that's joined by Pensacola. How many people are down there in 1770? Only 2,500 whites and 600 slaves. 1774, 3,000 of them. Everything else is Indians. And how did the people in West Florida feel about it? A lot of them refused to accept their land grants to avoid paying that stamp duty. They literally refused. They didn't like it. They rebelled against it. They didn't rebel hard, but they rebelled against it. And in East Florida, they didn't like it, but it was kind of a similar thing, but they had a problem. Keep in mind, East Florida was Spanish. East Florida was Spain. So they realized that they needed help. They needed those troops down there. Just to let you know, the Stamp Act, the taxes that they levied was to pay troops. So they needed the troops down there, so they went ahead and paid for it. How many people were down there in Florida? Same thing, 3,000. The non-Indian population of Florida, 3,000. 1,500 slaves, 1,500 white people.
We would have crushed them.
This is a really good article on the Stamp Act. And it says, in the years after the French and Indian War, Britain's strategies to keep its Native American allies sometimes backfired. In depicting only well-to-do white men, Trumbull ignored something like 95% of the people who participated in the American Revolution. Indians, slaves, small farmers, and women of all ranks played important roles when American colonists broke free of British control. Contrary to popular myth, which has the British government adopting the Stamp Act to force Americans to pay down their share of its debt, the real reason for the Stamp Act was to help fund the garrison of 10,000 British soldiers who remained in North America at the conclusion of the Anglo-French War in 1763. Why weren't these men sent home to Britain? Because of the numerous tribes of savages who joined the French during the war and ran over our frontiers. The Indian attacks in the 1750s and 60s shocked the British officials as well as American colonists. Ever since Columbus's time, the Indians had occasionally rose up against the colonists, sometimes with rival colonizers as their allies, but the English and British had found that whenever they went to war, they could count on a significant Indian support in their American theater. That reassuring pattern, however, came to an abrupt halt during the conflict that is now widely viewed as history's first global war. It is known in Britain as the 7 Years' War, just to tell you what they're talking about. And for the first time ever, most of the Indian nations that participated in the inter-imperial conflict, including the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Miami Confederacy on the Miami and Wabash Rivers in present-day Ohio and Indiana, and the Anishinaabe, took France's side.
And that's why a lot of them gonna end up in Indian territory in the South. That's how those tribes got down to Oklahoma and goddamn Texas. Let's walk.
Everybody took France's side during the 7 Years' War. They didn't want the English there. So this left the British officials determined to have at least some Indians at their side the next time they fought France. To be sure, Britain had captured Canada in 1760 without significant Indian support, but at great cost. Then as now, wars were by far the largest expense governments incurred, and the 7 Years' War had almost doubled the British government's debt. Imperial officials knew they would reduce their financial exposure in the next clash with France in proportion to the number of Indians who came in as allies rather than enemies. But why had the Indians worked with France? It all came up to the fur traders and the land thieves. For more than 200 years, Europeans had traveled to America to sell manufactured goods to Native Americans in return for animal pelts. Many of these traders formed positive relationships to their customers and suppliers in the American interior. Some even married Native women. On the other hand, relations between Indians and the fur traders were often abusive. One common method of obtaining
that's Professor Sig, BCU scholar, professor.
Pelts at a
This all in-house. Gonna be hard to get it the right way in
favorable price was to trap them in debt, making them drunk and setting them against each other, which brought on quarrels in the provinces and gave Indians the worst opinion of all the English in general. So in 1763, the king and council issued a proclamation drawing an imaginary line along the crest of the Appalachian Mountains. All of the land west of this is reserved for the Indians. That's this land right here. That's why the British made it a point to give the English their own land, because they were trying to figure out, just like your modern day Democrats, how do I get these guys on my side? The government positioned nearly half of its new American garrison in Indian country. The Redcoats were there partly to maintain British forts for use in future wars against France and Spain, but they also had immediate goals, and one was to protect the colonists from the Indians. Even before the outbreak of the war, the colonists were angered by the ways that the British government tried to manage the relationship between its colonists and Native Americans. The British were concerned by violence between white settlers and Native peoples on the frontier and attempted to keep the two groups apart. The Proclamation of 1763 reserved those lands for the Indians, which the colonists resented. And when the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence that same year, among the charges levied at King George was that he had endeavored to prevent the population of these states. The Americans were mad that the British were trying to set aside some land for the Indians. Another grievance in the Declaration of Independence was that the king and his government had endeavored to bring inhabitants on their frontiers, the merciless Indian savages. Many rebel colonists assumed that Native Americans would naturally be allied with the British, but most Indian communities tried to avoid getting involved in what they saw as a family dispute between the king and the subjects. But both the British and the Americans sought out Native allies throughout the conflict. Officers in both armies, including General George Washington, had fought in the French and Indian War, and they had learned to appreciate the value of Native warriors who had acted as scouts for European armies and had launched devastating raids on the colonial frontiers. And it's so many sources on this. I'm not going to, make y'all read all of this through it. But, this other one here, they were saying that the Mississippi Valley flat out was to be left a huge Indian reservation from which all white men would be excluded. Last week, I heard somebody call Mississippi slave land. Bruh, they literally meant for it to be for us alone, period. So in the end, where did the chips fall? Land is steady being lost. No one is seeing the big picture. The culture here is changing. We can't even recognize what's happening. The Shawnee Creek, Cherokee, and the Mohawk are fighting with the British. The Potawatomi, Delaware, Catawba, Chickasaw, Cherokee, and Tuscarora are fighting with the Americans. And the Choctaw fought as paid mercenaries on the side of the British. That's what we had to do. The French ain't there no more. Just like the Yamasee, you end up hustling for the highest bidder. There's no way around it. You got to survive.
Period.
From the Encyclopedia of Alabama, while the Revolutionary War cost Britain and 13 colonies a lot, it cost the Native Americans much, much more. Dodge the hijack, we talk about Indians. In the peace treaty, in addition to recognizing the independence of the United States, the British ceded to the new nation all British territory east of the Mississippi and south of Canada. This decision was made without any input from the Indians who lived on those lands. They basically is going back and forth and doing this paperwork, and they're not even telling us about it. When settlers did flood the newly acquired territory, many of them justified harsh treatment and the expulsion of the Native Americans with the belief that all Native peoples had supported the British during the war. So when Native Americans fought back against the United States, they found very little support from the British. So the newly freed Americans are looking at it like, well, the Indians fought with the British, so the Indians is our enemies too. But the Indians that's over here, they not getting support from the British. We gave them people. We gave the French and the British all our help. We let them settle on our land, and what did they do? Nothing but the worst, man. It's no way around it.
Oh, Jean Lafitte.
So in review,
and Napoleon.
Now this was once Indian territory. Now it's Georgia. It's the 10th state that ratifies the Articles of Confederation in 1778, the 4th state to be admitted into the Union in 1788, And at this point, in 1783, this is all Spanish. After they grab Pensacola, all of Louisiana is Spanish. You still have New Spain over here. You can't forget about New Spain, and the Spanish grab Florida back.
Hey,
but once again,
man, I gotta get
the colonies are growing strong, and hundreds of thousands of people are coming over here. So next time I go around, we're gonna go over Georgia. We're gonna go over Georgia, Tecumseh, and the War of 1812. I apologize if I ran through this too quickly. You know, hopefully you saw it. Like every one of these slides could have been a presentation on its own. And I need y'all to understand and feel this in your heart that it never went away. Rest in peace to my brother. They still using us to fight against each other. You know, we got to wisen up, and we got to go back, and the tribes got to learn how to get along.
Shout out to Big Sick, Professor Sick, BCU, Mississippi. The coldest Mississippian goddamn teacher in the game, if you want it the Indian way. Man, hey, y'all ass in class Sunday. We gonna have to start early because right now I'm at like 4 hours and 21 minutes in this build. I'm gonna try to shave some off, to cut some off, the fat off that we may not need, so it don't be too much information overload. But it's gonna be a big lecture, a lot to talk about. So, yeah, man. The link is pinned at the top. If you have not got your tickets, get your tickets. You don't want to miss it. I might not even play it again. I might just give it to the people who got the class and then don't even bring it out. Because I'm bringing out, you know, my shit that's better than B2 Bombers. This the shit that I've been holding back, waiting on a big debate or waiting on a big opportunity to get on the big stage and bring out some information that nobody never heard. You feel me? So that's the type of time we on it with this. And this is the transatlantic slave trade. I never again want to make another transatlantic slave trade presentation. And after this, no one ever should attempt to make or to say anything about a slave trade. Cause this motherfucker gonna show you how much niggas don't know. Gang shit, nigga. See y'all at class. Get your ass to class. Go get
I like that Honduran cigar, the spirits rise. Smoke curling like ancestors whispering in the skies. Dr. Sebi in my left ear saying heal from inside. This ain't no new land, we the ones they try to deny. Before Columbus ever dreamed of ships steered, we was building mountains, doing rituals with no fear. From Yucatan to Galveston, New Orleans near. That's a triangle of soul, but the map ain't clear. Second lines ain't parades, that's ancestral rights. Tambourines and feathers under full moonlight. We ain't immigrants now, we the original might. Built pyramids and bone flutes before Rome took flight. Top cat said it loud, stop begging for permission. Our culture ain't missing, it's just deep in tradition. We ain't African cause they told us we remember the mission. The land speaks Creole, soul food and intuition. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky. And the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. It's our home, not a place we disappear. James singing truth through the pain and the tears. Granny sat me down, roll something slow. So we can't when do you it at night. Things, let the cosmos know. I inhale the jungle, exhale the flow, spitting stories that the textbook still shows. God lit like a torch from ancient rites, aromas like prayers to the Orishas at night. New Orleans ain't a tourist tale, it's black divine.
Hey, Erica, I'm gonna be honest. So they want to block you. I ain't gonna lie. They want me to block you, Erica. We don't know if you're a troll what your intentions are around here. But you be saying some off the wild ass shit. You know what I'm saying? And I've been taking up for you, but they steady saying block her. They don't, yeah. I don't know what you be doing down there in that chat, but I don't know. Obviously, it'd be wild for how many people then goddamn came back and told me to block your ass. I don't know what you be doing, but they say you is, you know, yeah, you know. So I just wanted to let you know. It's like 5 people with guns. If your ass get shot, I ain't done it. I've been, you know, saying let's hold on, but I ain't been seeing what they see. So, you know, they watching my 6, you know. So, you know, I don't know. But I don't know what you got going on, Miss Erica. Now I'm dead serious. I think my missus be coming late. I don't know. They think you trolling. And they want your scalp. I ain't gonna lie. But I've been rallying for you, so I don't know.
Jazz horns, spend time in the spirits align. Forget Columbus, we was dancing in stars. Trading turquoise, dripping culture in bars. Drums talking codes, spirits moving cars. Look close, the past ain't gone, it's just behind these stars.
Oh, hold on, time out. That ain't even no woman. Yeah, man, your ass gone, nigga. You know what? I did it. I thought that was a lady. I was gonna give us a leeway, man. Appreciate that. See why nigga gotta have you 6. Shout out to goddamn AC though. That ain't no woman, that's a nigga. Oh, nigga, we don't play with niggas, bitch ass nigga. The first time you got out of line, we supposed to ran your bitch ass through the blender. You bitch ass nigga, you. Nigga, I thought it was a woman. This whole ass nigga been letting me call him a woman and ma'am and beautiful. Man, nigga, I would have slapped the shit out you the first time you said some wild shit in the motherfucking chat. Nigga, I ain't know that was a boy. Hoe ass nigga, you better get your bitch ass away from here. We should have rat packed that hoe. Bitch ass nigga, go find somebody to play with, hoe ass nigga. Man, appreciate that, Ace. Yeah, man, that what? Nigga, lock that door. We finna beat shit out this nigga. Fuck wrong with you? Yeah, man, you better get KO bitch ass back to where you came from, hoe ass nigga. This ain't nowhere to play, nigga. We slap niggas. This ain't nowhere to be playing, nigga. You in the wrong motherfucking spot. You see that shirt, nigga, on nigga, big Indian business. Nigga, I wish I would have been you. You was a boy. Nigga, I would have been slapped the shit out you. Nigga, you better get your whole ass away from me, nigga.
From Congo Square to Trammy porches, we built this land, no need for endorsements. The Mardi Gras beads ain't just for decor, that's soul armor, homie, we was gods before war. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky, in the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here, way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and in here, through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky, in the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here, way before they wrote their lives, we still live. It's our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing truth through the pain and the tears. We been here, oh yeah, we been here.
Hey, yeah, the class is self-paced. Once you pay for the class, it's yours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you don't have to watch it with us. The reason why we setting dates is because when we premiered, I want to be there with y'all. And then we be there together versus us just sitting there watching it by ourselves. If we can, you know what I'm saying? We know times isn't everybody, you know what I'm saying, might not be able to catch at the same time. So, you know what I'm saying? On the first go round, I do want to be there with y'all while we experience it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different energy. You know, I turn up, y'all turn up. I noticed the difference because I gotta record myself. And I don't have that same energy. Say it's election night and we in the back, we rocking out. I can feel y'all. You feel me? So it turned me up. But I'm in this bitch by myself, and it just, it don't hit the same. But yeah, that bitch rocking like the Coliseum, you know what I'm saying? We in there together. So yeah, man, that's our time to pull up, kick back, relax, eat something good, might put something on the grill, we might have a little drink of fire water, some wine for the ladies, champagne for the players, you dig? And lay back and get some good game, you dig? But yeah, man, I'm still fucked up about that was a nigga, because I'm telling you, I seen that nigga say something fly before. Then he talking about he want to figure out how he can get his whole mouth gold. Nigga, that's that shit that I'm talking about right there. I thought the nigga said name was Erica. So I've been letting this nigga make it just because of that. We said that part of that. Nah, this is the curriculum. The Platinum Pack is a gang of lectures, different types through different areas on different points. This is class, so it'll be separate from the Platinum Pack. This is like the curriculum that go with the book. So the Platinum Pack is full of lectures and things like that. Class is, you know what I'm saying? This is the body of work that I'm gonna have, that I'm leaving. I'm never making another lecture, anything about any of these topics that I'm talking about. This is me getting all my work out and putting it into one and putting it out in a way that people can understand it. And in the future, when they look back on me, this is the work that I want them to see, and this is what I want to be known as.
Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. I like that Honduran cigar, the spirits rise. Smoke curling like ancestors whispering in the skies. Dr. Sebi in my left ear saying heal from inside. This ain't no new land, we the ones they try to deny. Before Columbus ever dreamed the ship to steer, we was building mountains, doing rituals with no fear. From Yucatan to Galveston, New Orleans near.
No, ma'am, Miss Wee, the class is separate from the Platinum Pack. The Platinum Pack, so the Platinum Pack used to be $400. That was when we were putting all the lectures in there. This is class. This is like a curriculum that was created, and then we have classes through it. So we're gonna have the classes every 3 weeks. I see we gotta give people time to get their affairs in order, as well as time to get the understanding. So no, the Platinum Pack is separate because it has a lot of lectures in there, multiple lectures. Some, you know what I'm saying, and it's at a discounted price right now because we're moving on to classes. Not saying the work there is not valuable, because it is valuable. Especially if you like to binge watch, like you can go down and you got different series, different things like that in there. But the classes are different. The classes are this the topic we on. We're only talking about this versus the lectures. So it's gonna be more in the curriculum setting or base for understanding, easier understanding. But no, it will not be a part of the Platinum Pack. It'll be separate. Rue say, got my ticket. See y'all ass in class. Man, we out this bitch. What time? It's gonna be Sunday. It's gonna have to be earlier in the Sunday. We do want to think about the West Coast people, because they're gonna be getting up 2 hours late. So that's why I'm trying to figure out a time. Maybe 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time. Because it's gonna be about 4. It's gonna be a 3 and some change of 4 hours for the class. It's a long class. This the slave trade. We throwing everything, the kitchen sink and everything out there, like, we finna, in a way that you never heard it before. because most people attack it on the historical. You know, they challenge it on the historical aspect, not understanding this other aspects that collectively make up what becomes the transatlantic slave trade. That's why in that bill with Dr. David Eltis, with slave voyages, we asked them, are they working with the DNA companies? And they said no. So this is what I'm saying. There's so many different components, and the people that attempted to bring information on the transatlantic slave trade only seen it one way, which was historical. And that's why this will be way more meaningful in understanding, because even the teachers didn't understand that it was a bigger picture. And we know because we talk to people in the positions that are, and we realize that they are not even together. You know what I mean? So again, there are different components and fractions that make up a conglomeration of things that create what has been known to us as the transatlantic slave trade. That's why it's going to take 3 to 4 hours to break it all down. But we're going to get it done. Man, I love y'all, man. Don't got each other, won't need nobody else, man. Bring it all in. Execute on me. Execute on 3. 1, 2, 3. Execute. See y'all ass in class. Go get your tickets. We gone.